Hi everyone, Stacy here. Welcome to my channel or welcome back. So today let's talk about Chiron moving into the sign of Taurus for the next 8 years or so and what this transit may bring forward for each and every one of us in at least one area of life. Now, before I dive into all 12 signs, I just want to take a quick opportunity to thank each and every one of you for liking my content, sharing out my content, and subscribing to my channel. I truly appreciate the love and the support. And of course, I am sending that back to you tenfold. And just another reminder, these are general readings. So as always, take what resonates and leave the rest. I do not have your personal birth chart sitting in front of me, so always keep that in mind. And I do recommend that you watch for your sun sign and your rising sign. I think those messages would probably resonate with you the most. Now, of course, you can watch for your moon, your Venus, your Mars, any other planet placement point that you want to watch for. But just keep in mind, hopefully it doesn't confuse you if you're watching too many signs. So I like to keep it simple. Watch for your sun and rising, and I am confident that you'll at least be able to pick up some nuggets of information as you move through my videos here. Also, I'm a Western tropical astrologer. So again, each and every one of you, this may not resonate with you depending on which astrological also house system resonates with you. So these videos, I keep it pretty simple. It's a whole sign house system. Now, if you want to work with me one-on-one, I do use Placidus and I do use a whole sign house system. I find those two house systems work the best for myself and also my readings as well. If you want to get in touch with me, check out the links in the description box below. Also, I have timestamps down below as well and links to a lot of other videos that I have on my YouTube channel. Let's talk a little bit about Chiron and the energies that this asteroid or this comet brings to the table. Now, we do have Chiron somewhere in our birth charts as well. Look for the little key symbol, and that's where Chiron lies in your birth chart. Now, before I get started, though, I just kind of want to give a heads up for a trigger warning here, just in case you are sort of in a sensitive place right now. Maybe bookmark this video and come back to it, because Chiron does represent a wound or guilt or shame in this respective area of life where Chiron is residing, not only in your personal birth chart, but we're going to talk about the area of life that he's going to be transiting as well. So just sort of a heads up there. And also, I'm going to be referencing medical astrology. I love medical astrology. We're just going to scratch the surface here with this video, but I also want to remind everyone, I'm not here to diagnose or treat anyone. I'm not a healer in any way, shape, or form. This is more educational or for entertainment purposes, technically. So I'm definitely not a doctor. I'm far from it. But this is, I'm hoping, will kind of get you thinking maybe a little bit differently where Chiron lies, not only in your personal birth chart, but of course, we're going to be focusing in on the transit of Chiron through the sign of Taurus over the next 8 years or so. So I just wanted to sort of start with that. Now, Chiron is fairly new, or what I would consider, I guess, fairly newly discovered. So he was discovered November 1st of 1977, and he does have a very irregular orbit. He sort of reminds me of Pluto. He's not as far out as Pluto, but it takes him around 49 to 52 years to go through the entire zodiac wheel. So, for example, most recently, as I'm recording this video, Chiron is just at the final degrees of Aries, and he has been there since April of 2018. So that's approximately 8 to 9 years. Now, Chiron will officially move into Taurus around June 19th, 20th of 2026, and then he will retrograde back into Aries September of 2026, and then he'll officially move back into Taurus April of 2027, and he'll stay there all the way until May of 2034. And again, I do my monthly videos, you guys, if you've been following me for a while. I'll certainly reiterate these dates when the time comes, but this video we're definitely just going to be focusing on Chiron. Another example, though, is I was looking back in time because I love looking at cycles. That's kind of one of my favorite things in astrology. Way back when, let's see here, September of 1995 to approximately September of 1997. So he spent, now I'm not counting the retrogrades there. He would have been back and forth a little bit, but he only spent 2 years in Libra back then. So you see what I mean? Some signs he spends 2 years all the way up to 8 or 9 years, and he'll be spending another 8 or 9 years in the sign of Taurus. But again, there will be some retrogrades in there as well. So as I mentioned, characteristics of Chiron, he is both a comet and an asteroid, and he does reside between Saturn and Uranus. So he's not traditionally found in the asteroid belt. Asteroid belt is found between Mars and Jupiter. So Chiron is quite a bit further out, and that also explains why the orbit is a little bit irregular, because the further out you go into the solar system, like Pluto, Neptune, Uranus, their orbits get a little bit wonky sometimes. So, well, not sometimes, they are. So sometimes it's hard to peg exactly how long they're going to be in each and every sign. Okay. Now, just thinking about your natal Chiron. Now, if you don't know where your natal Chiron is, you can certainly look it up on, well, you can just Google search it or bring up astro.com and punch in your birth information. And again, look for the little key symbol. That's literally one of the keys to your birth chart, which we'll get into in just a second here. But natal Chiron is where you may have guilt, shame, trauma. And it's a wound that we are actually born with. We bring forward into this lifetime. However, that respective area of life, and also the sign, and also how Chiron is supported or maybe not supported in your birth chart, that is actually the key. That is our gifts that we bring forward, that we can actually help other people in this lifetime. Meanwhile, we're also working on ourselves. So another thing that I've heard other astrologers talk about is the degree, the actual degree of your Chiron could be the age that this wound or this trauma or this shame was brought forward. So again, I'm kind of split on that, but I have seen it work in some folks' charts, but I've not really seen the connection in other people's charts. So, but again, it is an interesting factor. The ones that do resonate with the age aspect, I do find that really fascinating. So I just thought I'd put that out there as well, just something to think about. Now, also where we have natal Chiron is where we have to do things a little bit differently. So that's where the sort of outsider feeling comes in, where you feel like you don't belong in that respective area of life. And again, it's the house that Chiron is sitting in, and then also the sign. That's the element that it brings in as well, those type of energy. So we have to confront that area of life. We cannot push it down. If we do push it down, I'm going to be honest, it can, not always, but it can manifest as some sort of sickness or illness or condition in the body. And it doesn't always have to be physical, and it doesn't always have to be obvious. What I find is, especially nowadays, invisible illnesses are really coming up that doctors can't diagnose. So Chiron could be a part of it, but I'm not blaming Chiron for everything, because again, Chiron is also where we can heal respectively in that area of life. So again, this is the area of life where we can help others and guide others. It does get better with age. Okay, so that is similar to the nodes of the moon. I find the nodes in our birth chart, that's where the eclipses lie. It sort of perfects later on in life. Chiron is that similar feeling as he moves along the zodiac wheel, because again, every area of life we are learning new lessons, we're absorbing new experiences, life experiences, and then we're carrying them throughout our lifetime into brand new areas of life, if that makes sense. Okay, now the medical sort of side of Chiron too is, as I mentioned, if things are not addressed, especially when Chiron is activated, they can manifest in strange ways. And like I said, it could be mental, it could be physical, it could be psychological, or it could be something else. So I'm not saying you're going to die in this transit, or I'm not saying all these horrible things are going to happen to you. It's more of a, I'd like to get you thinking differently about Chiron, because when I learned more about Chiron, especially from a medical perspective, that gave me a lot of aha moments just working with my personal natal chart and some close family and friends. I started investigating it, researching it a little bit more, and I started seeing some patterns, and I love patterns. I love cycles. So Chiron is just something new that we can look at, especially those of you out there. I am one of them where I've been living with illness probably for like over 25 years. And still to this day, doctors can't figure it out. And I know I'm not the only one. I hear this over and over and over, not only within family and friends, but through clients as well. So that's what sort of piqued my interest about Chiron. So anyway, I might make a separate video about Chiron. We'll see how this one does, but anyway, just something different to think about. And also I noticed transits to Chiron, it's not all about negativity, like the onset of something. Because again, we're born with some sort of wound, depending on where this is in your personal birth chart. But I find transits to Chiron are sort of like milestones with our health and well-being. But again, Chiron's not the only end-all be-all. We also have to look at our sun, the moon, the rising sign, just to name a few, to kind of get an idea of the health and well-being of our body as well. So anyway, I could go down the rabbit hole with that, but I'll try to stick on topic here with Chiron. So activations are not always negative. That's what I'm trying to get at here. Yes, they can be milestones. Yes, they can be, again, some of these things are chronic, right? Some of these things are like, we have to live with them for the rest of our lives, but it doesn't mean we can't live. It doesn't mean we can't cope with the symptoms, right? And it's, again, depending on your belief system, or in the medical system. I'm not here to disrespect any doctors. It's just, to me, a really unique way of looking at how we take care of our health and well-being, because the medicine could be within us and how we control, say, our emotions, or how we respond versus react to situations, right? So anyway, so yeah, Chiron cycles can be definitely important, but again, he's not a quick moving asteroid and or comet. It does take him a while. But think of, say, if you're going through a Saturn transit to your Chiron, or a Neptune transit to your Chiron, or Pluto for that matter, those slower moving planets to your Chiron are going to be monumental and very rare too. Very, very rare. Because again, Pluto takes 250 years to go around the zodiac. Neptune is about 165, and Uranus, for that matter, is about 84, 85 years. So if you are experiencing a transit to your Chiron, take note. Is it a square? Is it a sextile? Is it a trine? Is it a conjunction? These are very rare and interesting lessons to be incorporated into whatever you're experiencing right now. Okay, now just going back to just looking in general, Chiron going through Taurus. So this is high level for each and every one of us. And like I said, I'll dive into all 12 signs here pretty quick. Now, the sign of Taurus, I think all of us, themes for all of us are going to come up around money, our relationship to money, our relationship to our bank accounts, our relationship to big banking institutions that give us money, or if your parents give you money, anything to do with that transactional exchange of money, wounds, shame, guilt, trauma will be coming up. I'm thinking on a high level. Not for each and every one of us. Like I said, we'll dive into all 12 signs here in a second. But also self-worth, values, material possessions or resources. It's things that belong to us. Like we just went through Chiron and Aries for many, many, many years. That was the I am transit. So it's sort of like the I am wound, am I worthy wound. Now this is moving more so transitioning into, it's going to continue the storyline of Aries into Taurus, but it's going to add a different twist of material possessions, resources, our relationship to money and what that means, and also how does money flow to us. So if you're saying to yourself, well, I don't work, I'm retired, I'm not working. Okay, well, how do you live? You know, how do you pay your taxes? How do you drive around in your vehicle? How do you pay the bills? How do you keep the lights on? You know, or maybe you live in the middle of nowhere and you live off the grid, you know? So it's just those sorts of things that could be coming up. Again, for all of us, high level, and keep in mind, everyone, this is a long transit, okay? So this is about an 8-year transit. So this is not a light switch. It's not going to happen overnight. Also, wounds, themes, guilt, shame around work, like how, because the second house is also affiliated with our skills, our talents, our abilities, and how we put them to use, if at all, for that matter. So work, something to do with work and showing up for work, that might be coming up as well. But again, 8-year transit. So that's sort of from a high level perspective. Now, from a medical perspective, just again, something to think about. Taurus rules over the lower jaw, which also rules over the teeth. Now, Aries, we just went through this. Aries rules over the head and the upper jaw. So again, this is kind of a continuation of, you know, getting your grill fixed up, you know, or issues with the teeth. But this time the focus is going to be on the lower jaw and the teeth as well. So that's going to definitely carry into from Aries into Taurus. Taurus also rules over the tongue, the throat, the tonsils, the neck, the thyroid, and the vocal cords, just to name a few. So, I mean, this is really going to be in the spotlight over the next 8 years. Now, again, it doesn't mean, you know, your teeth are going to fall out, your jaw is going to fall out, you're going to have thyroid disease. No, it just means these areas of the body are going to be a little bit more sensitive over the next 8 years. Just like if you think back to 2018 to 2026, the head would have been, the eyes, also the teeth and the jaw would have been very sensitive with Chiron moving through Aries. But again, this is high level, you guys. This really depends on where this is also transiting your birth chart. But again, just something to chew on, something to think about, especially for those of you that are interested in medical astrology as well. So, and again, there could be breakthroughs, I'm thinking. Breakthroughs of something to do, like again, carrying from Aries into Taurus, something to do with the teeth, the jaw, the bones, the throat, like maybe breakthrough, something to do with the thyroid or the vocal cords, or rebuilding them, restructuring them in the body in some way, shape, or form. Because again, this is not all negative news with Chiron. Chiron's the healer, right? Just because Chiron's wounded, just because we are wounded, doesn't mean we can't show up for other people and help other people. And I mean, you hear about stories every day. People live and breathe those hard experiences. Then they can share their gifts with other people and say, look, this is what I did to move through that energy, or to move through those dark times in my life, for example. Okay, so we're going to dive into all 12 signs. Like I said, I just scratched the surface on Chiron. I might make another video about Chiron. We'll just see how this goes. But just another reminder, watch for your sun and rising sign, I think, and or rising sign if you know your rising sign. I think those messages would resonate the most. And even if you're a cuspy baby, you can certainly watch for the next sign over, because I have a feeling if you're a cuspy baby, late degree sun, late degree rising, your first house probably encompasses the next house over. So if you are a 25-degree Leo, probably watch for Virgo as well, and then you'll be able to pull out some nuggets of information for you. All right, let's dive into all 12 signs. Hey, Aries, sun or rising, let's look at the area of life that Chiron is going to be transiting for the next 8 years or so. Now, second house, so there could be Aries, there could be some possible guilt, shame, awkwardness, triggers or trauma around second house matters that are going to be coming up over the next several years. And keep in mind, this is a long transit, so it's certainly not all going to happen in the month of June. That's when Chiron officially moves into Taurus, but he will be backing into your sign. He's not done with your first house yet, Aries. He will be backing into your sign September of 2026, and then officially moving into your second house April of 2027. So let's talk about the second house. So this is about money, work, your talent, skills, and abilities. So what you bring to the table in a work setting. Now, if you're not working, this might be, or if you're retired, this might be more so to do with your relationship to finances, or your relationship to not only your money, but maybe money coming in from big financial institutions, or if you have spousal support, or if your parents support you, or if government supports you, or whatever the case may be. That relationship is going to be coming under the microscope with Chiron here. Also, your value system lies in the second house as well. And for those of you that are working, doing either entrepreneurship or own a business, run a business, CEO, running a company, a manager, a worker, whatever the case may be, it's how you earn a living. So how does money flow to you so you can pay the bills, for example? Also, second house is about material possessions. It's about what personally belongs to you, like things that you actually own, not so much about shared resources. That's across the street in the 8th house. Unless, Aries, you have planets, placements, points, or angles in Scorpio in your 8th house, other people's resources, that is also going to be coming into focus with Chiron in your second house, opposing if you do have, I'm talking about if you do have anything in the sign of Scorpio or any Scorpio placements, for example. So second house matters. That's what's going to be coming into focus with Chiron transiting here. Now, the goal or the lesson here of this transit is to ultimately strengthen this area of life, Aries. So a lot of you, this is kind of strange to say to an Aries individual, but this transit is really going to help you stand on your own 2 feet, Aries. Now, if just me saying that to you triggers you, for example, that would be something to kind of look into further, because, I know a lot of Aries that are entrepreneurs, they're trailblazers, they're doing their thing. But there's something here that Chiron is going to help you ground even deeper, even further into the situation. Mother Earth, literally grounding with Taurus here. Something here needs to be looked at under the microscope, like underneath it all, from that perspective. So there is something here that's going to help you, again, literally, metaphorically speaking, stand on your own 2 feet. And if you think you are now, this transit's going to just help you integrate those lessons even deeper and further. And Aries, with Chiron moving through the first house, very powerful transit that started way back in April of 2018 for you, all the way up to this point, June of 2026, when Chiron is just newly dipping into your second house. So, Aries, I'm not going to call everybody a healer, but again, this is the area of life where you are becoming the warrior, the healer, and the warrior spirit is you, Aries. It is you. So I think there's a lot of Aries individuals out there that it's going to just be, I keep hearing trailblazer. I know I've already said that. I'm trying to think of a different word, but you are trailblazing something new to help other people, whatever it is that you do. Whether you own a business, run a business, a dog walker, you paint houses, you're retired, it doesn't matter. You are here to now incorporate all those lessons that you've learned in like you were working through the I am wound, Aries. That's what you were working through with Chiron in the first house there. So now you can take all those lessons and move them now into a brand new area of life. And again, this is your skills, your talents, your abilities, Aries. So this transit's going to really make you unstoppable. And I think there's a lot of Aries individuals that are going to be helping the entire planet for the greater good. Like I can just see the waves rippling out already, Aries. So this is a very powerful transit where, again, you can, through your own life experiences, help others with, say, maybe money issues or their relationship to money, or maybe you're helping them stand on your own 2 feet because you can share your experiences and say, yeah, I built this business off, the sweat of my brow and I had no help. Whatever your story is, you can now incorporate that into the second house. I think some of you will also maybe be kind of like an angel investor and maybe invest in brand new businesses or new entrepreneurs or technology or whatever the case may be to help other people get off the ground, if that makes sense. Those are just some basic examples. But another thing I want to throw out there, Aries, from a medical perspective. So again, I'm not a physician, I'm not a doctor, like I explained. If you skipped the first part of my video, I explained all that. From a medical astrology perspective, with Chiron moving through the second house, and I gave some good examples at the beginning of the video, with Chiron moving through your first house, you, Aries, represent sort of the head and the upper jaw. Now with Chiron moving into the second house, sensitivity or focus could come into the lower jaw. It also represents the teeth. You share with Taurus the teeth. So you could get your grill fixed up if you haven't already done so. Or again, maybe it's a process. You're working on your teeth, fixing up something here. Or maybe your teeth have been extra sensitive since 2018. That's a possibility. So the teeth, the tongue, the throat, the neck, the tonsils, the thyroid, vocal cords. Those could also be extra sensitive, so this area of the body. The reason why I'm saying that is because that's what Taurus represents, for example. Some other things that could come up, Aries, again, I'm not here to diagnose or treat or anything like that. Just something to think about, something to chew on, something to crunch on, is toxin buildup in the body. The fixed signs sort of hold this energy. So when there's activations from Chiron, it does sort of make me think of the body slowing down, because that's what fixed signs are. They're a little bit more cautious and careful. You're a cardinal energy, so you bring a different sort of perspective to the table, where the fixed signs, they hold a season. So think of sluggishness, build up in the body. They hold on to toxins. It also, this transit could help, I shouldn't say help, but it might slow down the body for good or for bad, because that's not a bad thing, but it sometimes is not always a good thing, right? Because we do need things to come out of the body. So just something to keep in mind as well. Resisting change. The fixed signs have a hard time changing. So again, something to sort of keep in mind and be aware of, I guess, over the next several years. And again, this is about feeling it in the body, right? This is Taurus after all. Just, it's a very sensory type of experience. Chronic pain is also housed in the fixed signs as well. So chronic pain or chronic conditions or chronic flare-ups. It's not about acute. That would have been your energy, Aries, since 2018. Acute. This is more chronic. And it doesn't mean, again, hopefully you watched the beginning of my video. I explained all this a little bit better. But it doesn't mean bad things are going to happen, Aries. Okay, it doesn't mean that. It just means activations in this area of life from a high level. I would also have to see where your natal Chiron is, which I also talked about at the beginning of the video. So if you want to learn more about that, maybe rewind, check out the timestamps down below there. So just some things to think about. This is also a very indulgent transit. So if there's any illnesses or chronic conditions that flare up, it might be because of us. Too much smoking, too much drinking, too much staying up, late at night, or not getting enough rest or sleep. Because again, it could manifest as different things in the body, Aries. So again, I'm not saying this to scare or doom and gloom. It's just something to think about, because I love Chiron from a medical perspective, but also from a astrological perspective, activating that second house area of life that we talked about there. Otherwise, Aries, this is not really aspecting your sun, your rising, or anything else that you are watching for right now. Like I said, it's a blank chart that I'm looking at. So if you're curious about how this transit is maybe impacting any other planets, placements, points, or if you have anything in Taurus or Scorpio or Aquarius or Leo, I think you might feel this transit the most. But in general, from a high level perspective, we covered off that second house there. So Aries, enjoy this transit. Like I said, it's a long transit, so bookmark this video, come back to it time and time again to kind of get a refresher on this second house video. So enjoy, Aries, and we'll see you back here in the next video. Bye for now. Hey, Taurus, let's talk about Chiron moving through your sign for the next 8 years or so. Now, if you didn't watch the first part of my video, I do recommend that. We're going to be talking about some examples from a medical perspective, but also from an astrological perspective. And just, to be clear, I'm definitely not here to treat, diagnose, and I'm not a physician. I'm not calling myself a healer. This is more from a educational perspective, Taurus, so just keep that in mind. So, Taurus, Chiron moving through your first house, possible guilt, shame, trauma, awkwardness, triggers from a first house perspective. So this is about the physical appearance, Taurus. This could be about your identity. Now, everybody is wrapped up in a different identity. So what do I mean by that? Some folks are wrapped up in their career, for example. They're known for what they do for a living. Like, people say, well, I'm a banker, I'm a lawyer, I'm a business owner, I'm a baker, I'm a dog walker, I paint houses, whatever. So it could be something to do with that. So it could be connected to the career from an identity standpoint. It could also be connected to a relationship, Taurus, because our identity, again, could be wrapped up in a marriage. Like people say, oh, I'm married, or I am a stay-at-home parent, or I am, fill in the blank. It's whatever sort of what you would affiliate yourself with as part of your identity, your calling, your purpose, for example. So because this is the first house, it probably will ripple into multiple areas of life. Also home, family, and foundation, I'm thinking, Taurus. So again, are you a stay-at-home parent? Are you a grandparent? Do you take care of the grandkids? Do you walk dogs? Do you volunteer? Do you what is it that you identify with, Taurus? That could again be coming up for some, again, think of shame, trauma, triggers, awkwardness around your identity. Also, Taurus, this is a health and well-being transit as well, because it is the first house. It's the physical being, it's the physical body, it's how you're taking care of your vessel. So whether you are watching for your sun sign or your rising sign, I would say, or even your moon sign for that matter, because the moon is also connected to our health and well-being. Something to do with how you're taking care of your body could be coming up during the next 8 years as well. Keep in mind, this is not a light switch, Taurus. So I don't want you to start panicking. I don't want you to start making all these appointments. Again, I'm not here to instill fear. This is just for educational and at the same time, entertainment purposes, Taurus. Okay, so take what resonates and leave the rest. Also, your approach to life. That could be coming up as well with this transit, especially the rising sign folks. It's not only the physical body, but it's how we project ourselves onto the world. It's kind of the glasses, the lenses we wear from our perspective, our vantage point, our viewpoint, so to speak. And also it's first impressions. It's the rising sign is actually the first impression people see of us. So again, Chiron here is going to be reworking this, working with you very intimately and personally, Taurus, again, on multiple levels, because anything that happens in the big angular houses, Taurus, so your first house, your seventh house, your 10th and 4th, probably will ripple to every single corner of your life. All the fixed signs are going to be going through this, by the way. So I'll be repeating myself with all the 4 fixed signs. So you're not the only one, Taurus, that's going to be experiencing this transit. And again, I'm not putting the tone of negativity, because again, if you watch the first part of my video, transits to Chiron, to your natal Chiron, are milestones in your own life journey and your health and well-being journey. as well. So this could be a transit where you finally get connected to the appropriate practitioner, professional to help you get to that next level, whatever that next level means to you, from career, health and well-being, identity, what you want to be known for. All of that is going to go through a bit of a transition here with Chiron. And Chiron is not loud in your face. Chiron is similar to Pluto, kind of working on the back end behind the scenes. So it's not a loud transit, but it's a constant transit similar to Pluto. So Taurus, the lesson or the goal here with this transit is to strengthen this area of life, your first house, or multiple areas of life in your situation. It's about you becoming the warrior, the healer in this area of life and helping other people. Thanks to your journey, you will be able to help other people out in this area of life. So I'm just going to throw out a simple example. Anything moving through the first house triggers the I am wound, like am I worthy? Am I good enough? Could also be body image, like feeling less than or not liking your body. Again, this transit can also help you reconstruct the body, depending on what that means to you or what you're looking for. So you moving through these experiences, and everyone's on their own timeline. Maybe some of you are already there. And then Chiron moving into the first house, you're going to be moving into a counselor role or a therapy type of role or an elder or a mentor or a teacher or a coach. And then you're going to be helping other individuals with, say, body image issues or not feeling worthy in some way, shape, or form, Taurus. Again, this is just a very simple example of the first house that comes to mind here. So again, we're all on our own timeline. Some of you are ready now to dive into it, but be prepared though, you will be triggered with this transit. We all will be in some area of life respectively. So be prepared for sort of endings and new beginnings as Chiron conjuncts whatever you're watching for right now. So Taurus, this is a blessing for each and every one of us. So like I said, I want to be clear. I'm not instilling fear or panic or pain or anything like that. If you are in a sensitive place, maybe bookmark this and come back to this video, because this is Chiron. This is the energy Chiron brings to us. But ultimately, Chiron makes us stronger and very gifted in this area of life, Taurus. So the fact that you are alive right now, experiencing this transit in your first house, is a gift in itself. It is a blessing in itself. And like I said, all of you are going to be on a different timeline. Maybe some of you have no idea what I'm talking about. Then the messages or the lessons will probably come later on in the transit. Again, this takes us to 2034. But again, some of you, depending on how Chiron moving through the 12th house was, which would have been a really quiet transit, but a powerful one, some of you are ready to step into something new. And maybe some of you are becoming the healer, whatever that means. Reiki, light worker, a healthcare practitioner, naturopathic doctor, whatever the case may be, because I can see that as well, because you're a very tangible, grounded sign, Taurus. Now, some other things to keep in mind. I sort of touched upon them already at the beginning of the video. And because this is quite literally happening in your sign, Taurus, some things to keep in mind, some sensitivities to be aware of. The teeth, the lower jaw, the neck and the throat area, also the tongue, the tonsils, the thyroid, and the vocal cords or the vocal box. Those could be up for some sensitivities during this time. Again, I'm not a doctor, you guys, okay, but I have dived into medical astrology. Definitely I'm not a physician, or I'm here to tell you that all this is gonna like become a problem. No, it's just sensitivities. Wherever Chiron goes, he activates a certain area of our body. So for you, quite literally, it's the first house. And it really could be anything in the body too, Taurus, because this is in your first house, quite literally. You also represent, especially if you have a lot of planets in Taurus, toxins build up in the body. Be mindful of as well. All the fixed signs have this, by the way. Like trying to eliminate toxins from the body, moving things out of the body can be quite slow, especially with Chiron moving through here. So again, just something to be mindful of and aware of. Not all of you will experience this. I'm pretty confident of that. Again, it depends on how this is transiting in your personal birth chart. Chronic pain, anything chronic could be coming up at this time too. So think long term. Now, if some of you have already been experiencing this, maybe this will be a milestone of healing for you. Again, this is where I would need to see, where is your natal Chiron? What is Chiron activating in the rest of your birth chart? So again, take what resonates and leave the rest. I'm just giving you examples of some things to think about. Your sign is also very indulgent. Taurus is very indulgent, being ruled by Venus. So I'm thinking if there's any illness in the body, it will be something maybe you ingest. So too much smoking, too much drinking, too much eating, too many sweets, things like that, Taurus. So it might be self-inflicted, possibly. Again, this is not going to resonate for all of you. This would have to be your first house. But again, if you are a Taurus, naturally, some of these things might resonate with you, because even if your sun is there, it makes you a little bit more sensitive to these respective areas of the body. But also, you're a fixed sign, so you hold on to a lot of things, right? All the fixed signs do. They hold on to a lot of energy, and the body has a hard time releasing them. So anyway, just some things to think about. Taurus, like I said, not here to diagnose or scare. It's just, I love astrology from an educational and sort of a heads up perspective. So that is the angle that I am coming from. But otherwise, Chiron's going to be bringing you a lot of aha moments, a lot of epiphanies, a lot of almost like euphoria, kind of just totally changing your lifestyle, let's say, and huge milestones, whether it's physical, mental, psychological, spiritual even, Taurus, because again, Chiron was in your 12th house for, again, 8 or 9 years as well. And you're bringing all those lessons into this first house. It's like you're birthing something new in this area of life, and Chiron will be working with you slowly but surely, because as he comes together with your sun, your moon, your rising, whatever you have in Taurus, this is technically a new beginning from that perspective. So anyway, Taurus, hopefully this helped to give you some ideas to think about over the next several years. You might want to bookmark this. You might want to come back to this over and over again, because again, this transit is with us all the way until 2034. So Taurus, enjoy, and we'll see you back here in the next video. Bye for now. Hey, Gemini, sun or rising. Let's look at Chiron transiting your 12th house for the next 8 years or so, Gemini. And also, this transit is not making any aspects to, well, whatever you're watching for right now. This is where I'd have to see the rest of your birth chart to add in those additional layers. So let's talk about the 12th house. Possible guilt, shame, trauma, activations, triggers from a 12th house perspective. So the 12th house is a quieter house, Gemini. It's more, I would say, subconscious. It's more about synchronicity and symbols and spiritual pursuits, whatever that means to you. Whether it's religion or spirituality or getting away from it all and backpacking for 2-3 months in the mountains or in the bush or whatever the case may be. It's 12th house is stepping back and getting away from it all. It's also about endings and letting go psychologically, mentally, emotionally, physically. And keep in mind the health and well-being aspect of this transit as well. Think about releasing things energetically, or releasing things from your diet that are not working anymore. That could also be 12th house situations too, because think of hidden. This area of life as well, I find with people that have 12th house stelliums, they sometimes have or can manifest psychosomatic or invisible illnesses or diseases, whatever you want to call it. Now, Gemini, I'm not here to, scare you or anything like that. Hopefully you watched the beginning of my video where I talked about Chiron from a medical perspective, but also from an astrological perspective. And again, I'm not a doctor, you guys. I'm not here to diagnose, treat, scare, anything like that. I'm just looking at it from my lens and my perspective. So the 12th house could bring up things that maybe you haven't dealt with from the past, because the 12th house encompasses all the 12 signs, Gemini. So, and keep in mind, this transit is technically preparing you for when Chiron moves into your sign, which is going to be May of 2034. So again, not going to happen overnight, Gemini. And this is a quieter transit, especially with Chiron. Like Chiron and Pluto have something in common. They are constantly running in the background. It's like that white noise constantly humming away in the background. That's what Chiron reminds me of as well. He's obviously faster than Pluto, but it is a quieter transit. It is a quieter house. So some of you might not even feel this. Some of you might not even realize anything that has shifted in your life until Chiron gets closer to the late degrees of Taurus, when he's getting ready to move into your sign. This can also be anything to do with awakenings, whatever that means to you, for you, diving into spiritual pursuits, like I mentioned. And again, whatever that means to you. I don't want to label it as, church, going to church or religion or anything like that. It's what does your spiritual belief systems mean to you, for you. Maybe some of you have 0. Maybe some of you have nil. You're like, you know what? No, I don't believe in that kind of stuff. With Chiron moving through the 12th house, I'd be curious to see if that changes for you in the next several years based on experiences. Because the 12th house is also very, I find, paranormal. Again, people with 12th house stelliums or activations, I sort of noticed that as well. And be mindful, please be mindful, Gemini, of anything bubbling up from the past or bubbling up to the surface, even like childhood wounds, or I don't know, something your brother or mother or sister or whatever said to you like a billion years ago, and suddenly it just comes into your awareness. Don't shove it down. Don't keep shoving stuff down, Gemini, because again, Chiron in the 12th house, without even looking at your chart, the rest of these activations, if you don't deal with it, it might manifest and come out of the body in really weird ways, meaning like you manifest illness. But I also don't want to scare you either, because everyone's going to deal with this differently. Some of you watching, maybe this isn't even your 12th house. Maybe this is part of your first house. Maybe this is part of your 11th house still. So it's just something to sort of think about. Synchronicity is going to be huge too over the next 8 years, Gemini. Again, it's not going to be loud in your face. Like as if, I find Jupiter moving through the 12th house is more synchronicity is like right there. And if you don't frickin' see the signs and symbols, what is wrong with you? Chiron is way quieter. It's like you really got to pay attention to the body, the senses, because again, Taurus is the sensory experience, what you're ingesting into your body, how you're taking care of your body. And the signs, the symbols, the synchronicity will still be there, but it'll be softer. So I also think this transit, Gemini, will help you maybe slow down a little bit, slow down, especially the mind, because with Uranus in your sign, you're probably just some of you might be going 100 miles an hour all the time, the mind, right? And maybe physically too. Chiron here will help you bring in that balance. So actually, this is kind of a nice, for those of you, this is going to be a nice transition, because Uranus and Chiron will be kind of, they're not talking to each other in an aspect, but Uranus in your sign, Chiron in your 12th house kind of will be the same timeline, because Uranus will be in your house for about 6 or 7 years. So I actually like that balance, Gemini. I think that will help you. 12th house is also hidden gifts, talents, and abilities. So I like this as well. For those of you that want to be a healer in some way, shape, or form, or a shaman, or a teacher, a mentor, a coach. Again, think of this is the area of life you are going to help other people with. And all of these collective lessons that you've been bringing forward, depending on your age, that you're bringing forward as Chiron has been moving, well, at the top of your sky. Now he's being prepared. He's like culminating, percolating all of these experiences, Gemini. So when Chiron moves into your first house, it's like you're really going to be a huge power player when it comes to your personal skill set and what you want to do. Is it work? Is it retirement? Is it, I don't know, feeding people from all over the globe? I don't know. It's whatever these experiences are culminating now and over the next 8 years are going to be critical, Gemini. So yeah, very interesting transit. And keep in mind the lesson or the goal of this 12th house transit is to strengthen this area of life around those 12th house matters. And you becoming the warrior or the healer, as I mentioned, in this area of life to possibly help other people. You know, we all have experiences that we can share and pass down to other individuals, right? And help other people move through these difficult experiences as well. And just a heads up to Gemini, as I've been mentioning, I sort of mentioned at the beginning of the video, because Chiron is transiting Taurus in general, we could be dealing with toxins or buildup in the body, sluggishness in the body. Taurus is a fixed sign, so think about your body holding on to things that and just not releasing them. So like I said, not a good transit to keep pushing crap down emotionally or psychologically, because this is a subconscious. It's not quite loud in your face. Once Chiron moves into your first house, that will be a different conversation. It could manifest more physically. So just something to keep in mind. And also Taurus is very luxurious. So it's about indulgent. So us overeating, over drinking, over whatever, too much smoke, too much smoking, too many drugs, whatever the case may be. So this transit, I think, Gemini, will also make you very, well, all of us actually, make us a little bit more in tune to the sensory experience. And I'm also hoping what we ingest, like how we take care of the physical body as well. Keep in mind, this is also kind of a trigger of chronic pain or conditions that you may have. But again, where is your natal Chiron? It depends on where your natal Chiron is too. Some of you, it may resonate. Some of you, it might not. It's not so much about acute issues, unless, again, you're going through a Chiron transit with your natal Chiron. Chiron in Taurus is more like slow, think slow and steady, right? So that's more of the chronic conditions, not so much of the acute. So just, again, something to keep in mind, folks. I'm not trying to doom and gloom. This is more for an educational something to think about over the next several years. Also, what might be sensitive is kind of this area of the body. So the teeth, the lower jaw, the throat, the thyroid, the tongue, the vocal cords, the neck, the throat, that might be extra sensitive for us as well. But this is for all of us, Gemini. So just something to keep in mind. Also, your circulation system with Uranus in your first house. Be mindful of like heart palpitations, circulation system, cortisol at an all-time high, things like that, Gemini. So again, not a doctor, but I do love medical astrology. So I just thought I'd give you sort of something to think about. And again, this is an 8-year transit. So, and Uranus being in your first house for about 6 or 7 years, yeah, that will be a long transit as well. So just some things to think about, Gemini. So I hope this helped. Enjoy this Chiron transit. Use it to your advantage. Like I said, you're going to be a powerhouse by the time Chiron moves into your first house, gathering all those experiences and bringing them forward, bringing your gifts forward in some way, shape, or form. And it doesn't mean you can't do it now, by the way, Gemini. I forgot to mention that. Some of you are ready now to bring it forward. Everybody's on their own timeline. So if you feel called to move into something new, Could be a Chiron transit, but it could also be another transit as well. Anyway, enjoy, my friends, and we will see you back here in the next video. Bye for now. Hey, Cancer sun or rising, let's look at Chiron moving through your 11th house and what that could bring forward for you. So possibly Cancer, keep in mind, everyone is going to experience this a little bit differently, but in general, Chiron moving through the 11th house could bring up themes around shame, awkwardness, guilt, triggers, trauma when it comes to 11th house matters or situations. So the first thing that I can think of is siblings, Cancer. So you're definitely, if you do have siblings, whether they're older or younger, you'll definitely be working through either current or past triggers or incidents with siblings, for example. That's just one example, and definitely a common one with Chiron moving through the 11th house. Also friendship circles, my friends. So again, this could be the past, this could be the present, this could be in the future, because again, Chiron's going to be here for 8 years. So you might want to bookmark this video and come back to it time and time again for a refresher, because this is definitely not a light switch type of energy. 11th house also is about not only the people that we surround ourselves with by choice, but also can represent humanitarian efforts, collective efforts, unions, if you belong to a union, groups, community, people of like-minded hobbies, interests, talents, because it's also networking as well as people that you rub shoulders with from a personal or professional standpoint. And it's also your role, Cancer, within these groups as well. So that might be, again, with Chiron, yes, it's definitely going to be activating in general this area of life, but where I could add in additional layers is how this is speaking to the rest of your birth chart. Now, this is technically making a sextile to your planet's placements points, Cancer. Again, long transit, okay? 8 years. 8 years in this area of life. So at some point, Chiron will be working with you personally. Now, from a sextile, this is an opportunity. So an opportunity to, for example, heal a relationship with a friend, heal a relationship with a sibling, heal a relationship with a union or a group or a membership or an affiliation that you're part of. Or again, something to do with sharing your gifts, talents, and abilities on a global scale, because this is the house of humanitarian efforts. So I know Cancerians have the biggest heart. They give like the shirt off their back, everything goes to family. So that energy, I can see a lot of you expanding that on a higher, bigger, wider scale, whatever that means to you, for you, my friends. Some of you, 11th house is also technology, like the internet, and putting yourself out there like this. Doesn't have to be YouTube, but somehow from a technological standpoint, reaching a larger, wider audience, like a global audience from the 11th house, where you can help and heal people from a new angle, a new perspective, Cancer. So you can like create some monumental healing waves with this energy, Cancer, especially sextiling your planet's placements points. I think there's going to be a ton of you out there that are going to reach so many people from a heart-centered perspective, maybe even from a health and well-being perspective, like diet, health, nutrition, as well. I think a lot of you are going to be doing some good things out there, which I absolutely love. Also spirituality too, from a spiritual perspective too. I don't want to forget about that. It's whatever you want to get out there to the masses. Sort of think of it that way. The 11th house is also the future, planning for the future, your hopes, your wishes, your dreams, your goals. Again, that's going to get a Chironic sort of twist to it. But keep in mind the wounds, the triggers, anything that bubbles up from the past, Cancer. Please, my encouragement is to deal with it, not to keep pushing it down. So I'm not a doctor, I'm not a physician, I'm not here to doom and gloom. This is Chiron after all. This is my lens, my perspective from an astrological but also medical astrology perspective. So again, I'm not here to treat, heal, scare, diagnose Cancer. I want to be very clear about that. But I like this energy to kind of give you something to think about and to reach for the stars in this area of life. And also think about the people around you. And this could be family. This definitely could be family, Cancer. Who lifts you up and lights you up, and who just flat out doesn't. And again, that might affect you energetically, having sort of not so good people around you. Again, long transit, I'm just spitting out some ideas to think about or get prepared to encounter, I guess, these individuals as well. But with that sextile, this is your opportunity to make changes in this area of life. And yeah, some friendships might fall away. Like, that's just natural. Some memberships, some affiliations, some groups, people that you hang out with, that might fall away. This is also the house of gains. So, you know, retirement, moving into a new line of work. You know, Chiron's going to soften that a little bit. And your heart has to be in it, Cancer. Whether you're working or not working. Again, if you're not working, I encourage you to get into humanitarian efforts. They're showing me the Red Cross, you know, that organization, the Red Cross, they are showing me that for some reason. So, you know, big global efforts like that if you're not working. But if you are working, this is going to possibly bring in a different type of income stream as well. I'm just going to kind of throw it out there because it could bleed into your work as well. Now, the lesson or the goal of this transit, Cancer, is to really strengthen this area of life. And it's about you becoming the healer or the warrior, whatever you want to call it, in this area of life. And it gives you the talent, the abilities, the skill set, the gifts, the blessings, so you can help other people. And also, I forgot to mention, this is the house of gains. Okay, now I'm not saying Chiron moving through the 11th house does not trigger a windfall. So I want to get that out of the way. As you can see, I got a blank chart in front of me. And last I checked, Chiron is not part of windfalls. So I'm sorry, that's more Uranus-Jupiter transits. But Chiron here, again, the way I look at it is financial blessings coming your way so you can help other people, so you can help the greater good. And yeah, I think a lot of you, it keeps coming up, is something to do with feeding people. Like, I keep seeing it, like literally something to do with feeding a big group of people or something like that. So again, stretching beyond just individual family, Cancer. And it might not be about money. It could also be like resources, your time, your energy, your effort, you know, things like that. So I'm not trying to make it about money, but it is the house of gains, usually from the career sector, but this could also indicate you being able to give your time, your resources, your energy, your effort to a greater good as well. Some other things to keep in mind, Cancer, I kind of mentioned them at the beginning of the video if you didn't watch that. Chiron in general, moving through the sign of Taurus, makes this area of the body a little bit sensitive. So the lower jaw, the teeth are covered off here as well. The tongue, the throat, the tonsils, the thyroid, the voice box, the vocal cords, I guess I should say. This could be just extra sensitive with this transit. Now, again, is that going to apply to all of you? Absolutely not. In general, high level, Chiron just in general moving through Taurus activates this area of the body. Every sign and every house represents a part of the body. So when I see transits to, well, really anything, I think of it from a medical body perspective as well. So just something to think about, Cancer. Again, I'm not here to diagnose, treat, scare, anything like that. It's just something to think about, Cancer, okay? And again, some of you it won't resonate because maybe this isn't even your 11th house. Maybe this is a part of your 10th or 9th or 12th. Who knows? It depends on the house system that you prefer. Also, with Chiron moving through a fixed sign, all the fixed signs have sort of this issue of toxin buildup. But because Chiron is moving through Taurus for all of us generally, I can see this transit really slowing down and sludging up the body. So we got to be mindful of somehow flushing these out of our system, whatever that means to you, for you. Sluggishness in the body, which is not a bad thing, but it can sometimes is not a good thing, right? It's about balancing this energy. Also, just a heads up, chronic pain, chronic conditions. That's what Chiron moving through Taurus could mean. And again, this is a fixed sign thing as well, where it's not about acute pain. It's more about dull, consistent pain, and then what you're going to do about it. Anything that comes up, Cancer, in the body, it's coming up for a reason. I'm just encouraging everyone not to ignore it, to acknowledge it, and move through it, work with it. I would also be curious where your Chiron is so I could paint a better picture for you. But in general, Chiron moving through this area of life, just some other things to think about. Nothing, like I said, I'm not here to scare anyone. At the end of the day, these videos are for entertainment, educational purposes, but I do love the medical angle that Chiron brings to the table. It's sort of interesting. I think that's about it, Cancer, that I was going to cover off for you. Otherwise, enjoy this transit, and we will see you back here in the next video. Bye for now. Hey, Leo, let's talk about Chiron moving through your 10th house over the next 8 years and how this might manifest for you, Leo. So, possible. Hopefully you watched the beginning of the video, Leo, where I talked a little bit about Chiron. So, possible guilt, shame, awkwardness, triggers, and trauma around 10th house matters over the next 8 years or so. Now, 10th house is our purpose, part of our purpose, higher calling, career for those of us that are working. Now, if you're not working, then this might trickle into the 4th house. Anything that happens in the big angles, if you've been following me for a while, you probably heard me say this before. 1st house, 7th house, 4th house, 10th house activations will more than likely ripple out to all corners of your life, Leo. And this is a very public, top of your sky type of transit. So keep that in mind if you are not working. This might ripple to your identity, to your physical body, how you look, your relationships, whether in marriage, in business, in love, dating, friendship circles, your connections, anything to do with your one-to-one connections, and then of course your home life as well. Also retirement, that could also be a trigger or a wound or something that might be coming up for you over the next 8 years as well. Again, it depends on your age, you guys, too. So take what resonates and leave the rest. So 10th house is also your reputation, your public image, and your status. So what do I mean by status? Similar to what I talked about. What is your status wrapped up in? Is it your job? Which is okay. So I'm not shaming you, Leo. If you're like, hey, I'm a CEO, I own a business, run a business, I'm retired, I'm a real estate agent, I'm a beautician, I'm an actor, actress, I'm a grandparent, I'm a stay-at-home parent, whatever it is, Leo, that could be part of, again, your reputation, your image, your status. Or for some folks, the status is wrapped up in their home life, their kids, their marital partnerships, and they don't work. And that's totally fine as well, right? It's so something to do with the status is, again, think of Chiron's a little bit different. So this is an activation. This is a trigger. This is things bubbling up from the past, or someone says something to you and you get triggered and you're sort of like, the key here is, why are you getting triggered? And then you catch yourself. Like, why was I just triggered by that comment that person made to me? That's kind of what Chiron is going to be helping, well, all of us with. But for you, it's at a very public point of your sky here, Leo. Also, 10th house is about the legacy that you want to leave behind, long-term commitments and goals, and also your relationship to your parents, your grandparents, or authority figures. So bosses, anybody in a position of power, I would say as well. And also, Leo, you as a parent, Chiron's going to be working very intimately with you if you are a parent to even a fuzzy furry friend. You know, if you're taking care of someone, if someone is in your care, it's sort of like that. What does parenthood mean to you, or what does that mean to you or for you? So that's the 10th house, Leo. But ultimately, the lesson or the goal here is to strengthen this area of life. Like, Chiron is not here to make our lives a living hell. I notice a lot of people sort of put that on the planets, and you know, Chiron is an asteroid and or a comet, but Chiron here, ultimately, he's quieter. It's a quieter transit, Leo. And sometimes we don't even realize it until after the transit. It depends on where you are. It depends on your age. It depends on so many things, Leo. Like I mentioned, Chiron, another example is the nodes, where the nodes are in a birth chart. They get better with age. So, for example, an easy example here with Chiron in the 10th house is being triggered by the workplace, being triggered by a boss, being triggered by a parent. Those old childhood wounds bubbling up and pissing you off and being like, where the hell did this come from? Again, a boss being an asshole to you, saying shitty things to you, Leo. Those are things that I can think of at the top of my head. Are they going to happen to you? No, maybe not. Depends on where this is transiting your personal birth chart, Leo. But those would be simple examples of, if you think about it, your 20-year-old self, or maybe you are around 20 years old, versus say 45 years old. I think you're going to react and respond differently to those situations. So that's what I mean by it really depends on your age. I'm going to pick on myself here because I am a Leo sun. So 20-year-old Stacy would have definitely reacted quite poorly with butting heads with, say, a boss or authority figure that was very negative and toxic, versus now, I probably would respond to it differently, right? So those are sort of the situations I'm thinking of, Leo. Now, if you are a young person, first of all, if you're watching this video, if you're into astrology and these metaphysical tools, well, then you have the power now. The power is with you to be aware of this. So when someone out there or someone on social media says something shitty to you and you want to react, you have the power now to be like, no, this is just Chiron triggering me. This is just Chiron triggering my sun or my rising or my moon, whatever you're watching for in Leo right now. So the power is in your hands, my friends. So you are light years ahead of, say, those of us that didn't have these tools when we were younger. So that's the blessing of the internet. So I hope that makes sense, Leo. And I'm not here to doom and gloom. I'm not here to say, like I said, I'm with you, Leo. I will be experiencing this transit alongside of you. All of the fixed signs are experiencing this as a square. I'm not afraid of squares. I don't mind squares, actually, because squares, it's like a pressure cooker, and it forces us, Leo, to act in multiple areas of life. So I like this transit. It's a very action-oriented transit. It's us taking action to heal ourselves, Leo, healing our own wounds. And depending on where your Chiron is in your personal birth chart, that's going to add in additional layers. Also, as you can see, this is a blank chart we're looking at. So what is this transit activating in your personal birth chart too? I could add layer upon layer upon layer here. But anyway, let's just stick to the basics. But Leo, this is nothing to fear. This is, again, taking the bull by the horns. This is Taurus after all, and taking control of our lives and taking the power back. and not reacting or responding to these triggers coming out of the 10th house or coming through a parent or a grandparent or a boss or an authority figure or a sibling or a child or a relationship, or looking in the mirror and saying, oh, look at my cellulite, look at this, look at that, I don't like my wrinkles, I don't like we are so hard on ourselves, Leo. We are so hard. And I mean that for everybody. I'm not just, picking on Leo. But because this is happening, I'm going to be repeating, rinse and repeat here for all the fixed signs. I'm saying the same thing. This could also be identity and looking at yourself in the mirror and being content with who you are, what you are, and how you look. And there's nothing wrong with touch-ups, okay, folks? I'm not against that either. It's feeling good in your own skin for you, though. Not doing it for a partner, not doing it for a guy, not doing it for a woman, not doing it for a younger partner, not doing it for you fill in the blank. That's just my, I'll get off my soapbox now, Leo. But anyway, the lesson or the goal is to strengthen this area of life and becoming the warrior or the healer in this area of life. And Leo, I think there's going to be a lot of you. I feel like I've said this before in my other videos with Neptune and Saturn transiting the 9th house of Aries there. There's going to be a lot of Leos out there helping the collective get through their own wounds. Like, this is the epitome of, yeah, Leo, you've probably been through a lot, depending on your age, depending on your life experience, depending at the stage you're at right now in your life. And I see this as a lot of Leos helping the greater good, like publicly, like reaching a higher, wider audience, Leo, like taking this higher, spreading your light all over the globe. And keep in mind, Leos are ruled by the sun. We are the only sign ruled by the sun, and the sun touches every part of our solar system. I'm going to go beyond Earth. I was going to say Earth, but like, think of the sun. Everything revolves around the sun, right? Just don't take it to a dark place, Leo. That's the shadow side of Leo, is Black Hole Sun, that song, right? That's what they're showing me, the Black Hole Sun. So that can be the shadow side of Leo, is everything revolves around me. That might come up too. And being self-aware of that and catching yourself with that, right? So it could go either way, Leo, with this activation here in your 10th house. But yeah, spreading the joy, spreading the light, spreading the laughter. That's what Leos do best. Leading from the heart. Leos lead from the heart. Aries, for example, not to pick on Aries, Aries leads with the head. Leo is the heart center. Okay. Also, Leo, just a heads up. From a medical perspective, if you watched the beginning part of my video, I'm not a doctor, not a practitioner. I'm not calling myself a healer, but I do love medical astrology. So I'm going to throw some additional information in here. Again, something to think about. Not all of us are going to experience this, but the fixed signs naturally sort of hold on to toxins and build up in the body because we're fixed signs. So just something to be mindful of or aware of with Chiron activating another fellow fixed sign. So that could come up, sluggishness in the body, which is not a bad thing, but it's also not a good thing, especially when the body's trying to get rid of toxins. Keep in mind that could be physically, but also mentally, emotionally, and psychologically, Leo. Anything that's bubbling up, try to release. Try to work with the right people to get it out of your body, because there's a reason why it's coming up, even if it's mental, subconscious. Get it out, Leo. You don't want it manifesting in the body as something else that might come out as something else. And again, I'm not trying to scare you. That's just my perspective from Chiron here. Look out for resisting to change. Us fixed people, we don't like change. The fixed signs do struggle with change, but this is where the rest of your chart comes in. Maybe you have a lot of energy in cardinal and mutable signs. Change is not a problem, but if you have a lot of energy in fixed signs, fixed elements, Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, Aquarius, you might struggle with change. So Chiron will activate that, bring that more into your awareness as well. Watch out for indulgence too. This is for all of us. So I'm not just picking on you, Leo. In general, Chiron moving through Taurus, indulgent. So too much drinking, too much eating, too much smoking, too much carrying on, not enough sleep, things like that. Again, just something to watch out for, Leo. And Chiron moving through Taurus makes this part of the body very sensitive. So the teeth, the lower jaw, the throat, the neck, the tongue, the vocal cords, the thyroid. Sensitivities in this area of life, or healing, right? Could be either or. Again, Chiron is, yes, he's the wounded individual, but he's also the great healer and the expert when it comes to things like this. So could be also breakthroughs, I'm thinking, with something to do with this area of life, Leo. But again, this is not going to resonate for all of you. It depends on if this is your true 10th house. But overall, because Chiron's moving through Taurus, I'm thinking some of these likely, at least maybe one of them, might be brought to our awareness over the next 7 to 8 years here, Leo. All right, my friends, enjoy this transit, Leo, and we will see you back here in the next video. Bye for now. Hey, Virgo, sun or rising. Let's talk about Chiron moving through your 9th house and what that could mean for each and every one of you. So keep in mind, I'm hoping you watched the first part of my video where we talked a little bit about Chiron from a medical, but also from a astrological standpoint as well, Virgo. So Chiron brings to the table possible guilt, shame, awkwardness, triggers, the shadow in respective areas of life as he moves through the zodiac wheel. And this also depends on where your Chiron is in your personal birth chart and if there's any activations by the outer planets, especially to your Chiron. So let's talk about the 9th house, Virgo, because this is where, again, shame, awkwardness, guilt, trauma, triggers are going to be possibly surfacing. Okay, I'm not saying this is going to be peanut butter spread across the board. You're all going to be experiencing this, no matter what. Depends. Okay, depends on how old you are, because the older we get, the easier these transits get with Chiron. And similar to the nodes of the moon, the older we get, the more life lessons, life experience we can incorporate into these chironic sort of wounds or triggers that come up. So it sort of depends. It's reacting versus responding to these events that come up or may come up for you, Virgo. So 9th house, religion, spirituality, belief systems, whatever that means to you, for you. 9th house is also higher education or dealing with big educational institutions as well. If you're a teacher, a mentor, a coach, this transit might be working with you personally and intimately, and definitely it's going to be changing up your career or belief systems in some way, shape, or form. Also, this is the house of long distance traveling or anyone at a distance. 9th house is also book publishing as well. For those of you that say are in that industry, work in that industry, or if you have a book inside of you, Virgo, that you're trying to get out and put out into the open. This is a long transit. Keep in mind, this is an 8-year transit, and I'm not saying you can't launch a book or write a book. I would have to see the rest of your birth chart to sort of look into that a little bit more for you. I'm just saying Chiron's going to be, again, Chiron is the trigger in this area of life. So the trigger could be a good experience, or the trigger could be a learning experience or a hard lesson, for example. Or again, Chiron's testing us. Are we reacting to something or are we responding to something, right? So think of it from that perspective. So long distance travel, dealing with people from all across the globe, all over the globe, international affairs. So if you have a business or run a business, own a business, or work for a company, dealing with people from all over the globe, something to keep in mind as well. 9th house is also pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone. This is I personally love the ninth house. It's, I call it the house of the gods. It's almost the closest part to the gods besides the 10th house, of course. But it's bringing in those lessons into and educational pursuits into the 10th house of purpose and career, right? But you're not there yet. I'm jumping ahead of myself here. So keep in mind, Virgo, I know I threw a lot at you there, but just things to keep in mind over the next several years. You might want to bookmark this or save this and come back to this over and over again. Because again, depending on your age, depending on your experience, your life experience, where you are in your life right now, some of you will feel this. I'm going to be honest, some of you will feel this and some of you will not. Because Chiron is making a trine to your energy, Virgo, which is a blessing, by the way. It is a blessing. It doesn't mean this is going to be a cakewalk. I don't want to make it sound like it's an easy transit or a difficult transit. It's just bringing your awareness to the triggers that could come through this ninth house to you, because it's flowing. The energy is flowing into your sun, moon, rising, whatever you're watching for right now, Virgo. So I can see lots of opportunity coming out of the ninth house. First of all, reaching a higher, wider audience. This could also be about blogging, by the way, like putting your stories and your shared experiences out there. But I can also see opportunities coming in for some of you, and you may or may not take advantage of them. You may have an opportunity to heal or to travel, which might heal your soul, for example, or to put yourself out there, get your story out there. But there's a fear. There's like, I don't want to put myself out there. And trust me, I don't blame you, Virgo. Okay, I don't blame you. It's tough. Or the fear of going back to school or learning something new and thinking, especially those of us that are over the age of 40, it's like thinking about going back to school might be like a nightmare. It's like, God, you're with a whole bunch of teeny boppers. And so you see what I mean? Like, and some of you might not take that leap of faith. You might not take that opportunity or that risk. But that's okay, Virgo. Like, you do you. That's what I mean. Trines are, don't get me wrong, I like trines, but squares are the ones that are going to make you move. I personally love squares. I know, I'm weird. I love the squares because they make us move. They make us do something about it. Trines are great. Don't get me wrong. You're going to have a lot of blessings coming out of this ninth house. But like I said, it doesn't mean you're not going to get triggered by something coming in from this ninth house. Some of you, I'm going to incorporate siblings in here as well, especially siblings or family at a distance. To me, that's coming in for me as well. So I'm going to throw that out there to all of you for, again, consideration, folks. This is just something to think about, to chew on, to digest. I'm not here to instill fear or doom and gloom. Okay. Chiron is a blessing in itself. And if we work with Chiron, again, the ultimate lesson or goal of this transit is to strengthen you, Virgo, in this area of life. And this is where you become the healer, the warrior from a ninth house perspective, and you can help other people. Another easy example would be, I was talking about blogging and putting yourself out there or starting a website. Another easy example would be writing a book, sharing your experiences, sharing your life experiences, Virgo, sharing it with the world, the planet, and then helping other people realize, like, hey, I'm not the only one going through this. Some of you, aesthetics, something to do with aesthetics and helping people feel beautiful and helping people feel good, whether it's within, internally, or externally. Virgo, you actually are the sign of health and well-being. You have a flavor of the sixth house about you. So there's a lot of you out there that are natural healers, and Chiron in the ninth house is going to help you reach a higher, wider audience, a bigger audience, gauging a bigger audience, attracting in new clients. I love this for the Virgos, to be honest. I really do. I think Virgo, I can see a lot of you taking this higher, beyond your wildest dreams. But again, that's me. I always think big and think of the big possibilities. But you do you, Virgo. You utilize this transit however you feel is necessary. And some of you are probably sitting there thinking, well, I don't even know how to utilize this energy. It'll come. Because again, it's an 8-year transit, my friends. This is just getting started. So yes, I definitely love this for you. Now, speaking of medical, if you didn't watch the first part of my video, I talked about Chiron from a medical and astrological standpoint, like I mentioned. But just kind of a heads up in general, I'm not a doctor, not a practitioner, not a physician. I'm not here to treat or diagnose or tell you all this shit's going to go wrong with your body. Okay, Virgo. So, but just a heads up in general, Chiron transiting Taurus could activate sensitivities with this area of the body here. So the teeth, the lower jaw, the throat, the neck, the tonsils, thyroid, vocal cords, vocal box, sort of that vicinity here. Now, it does not mean your teeth are going to fall out and your tongue's going to fall out and things like that, Virgo. Okay, it just means it a little bit more sensitivities here, but also healing can take place, right? Chiron is, again, the wounded healer. So yes, you could have sensitivities here, but you could also have breakthroughs here. And depending on where your Chiron is, you could be experiencing a milestone this year. Or is Pluto, Uranus, Neptune, Saturn, Jupiter, are they, any one of those big bodies, are they transiting your natal Chiron? That's going to add in an additional layer here that's maybe even not even related to this transit. So this is where I'd have to see the rest of your birth chart, Virgo. But if you are struggling with health issues, again, Chiron making that trine to your sun, your moon, your rising, I'm confident you will be aligned with the right practitioners and think outside of your country. Okay, 9th house is again international. So maybe getting a second opinion in a different state, in a different province, or in a different country. That's sort of what I'm thinking with the 9th house. Again, trines might not be obvious, right? An opportunity might come by. Somebody might say something to you, hey, have you tried this doctor in Greece? And you'll be like, nah, I'm not doing that. I'm not flying over there. Like, we all do it. Like, come on, we all do it. So you see what I mean? You'll have to be aware of those opportunities. This is where you can kind of catch yourself like, oh, maybe I should look into that. Doesn't mean you have to do it, but maybe explore that. So anyway, that's just another example. Chiron activating Taurus in general for all of us too can bring up toxins or buildup in the body because the fixed signs bring that in. You're not a fixed sign, but again, Chiron's transiting, activating a fixed sign. Bodily system slowing down. That's another thing we probably should be a little bit aware of. Resisting change. Mentally, physically, emotionally, psychologically. Chiron could be bringing that up for all of us as well. And also chronic conditions. That's the fixed energy. So chronic long-term conditions. I'm not saying they're going to come on, but they just might become more, we might be more aware of the chronic pain, for example. It's not so much about acute. If you're experiencing anything acute, that would be a transit to your natal Chiron, I'm going to say. Or again, it depends on your personal birth chart. Or transits to, hard transits to your sun, your rising, your moon, I would say. Bring on more acute activations. So in general, though, yeah, Chiron through Taurus, again, might bring breakthroughs with chronic pain and how we manage that. Also indulgence, oof, yeah. So like drinking too much, eating too much, smoking too much, taking too many drugs, even taking too many homeopathic remedies could also come up too. Because Taurus is very indulgent and it's about the sensory experience. So I think Chiron is also going to bring to our awareness what we're putting into our body. And you love that, Virgo, because you're the sign, again, you're connected to the 6th house. So you are connected to the health and well-being of the body, and also you represent the mind-gut connection, the intestinal brain connection. So Yeah, so some of you are really going to thrive with this transit, especially if you do work in the healthcare field or the beauty industry, aesthetics, or diet, health, nutrition. This is going to be awesome because, again, you're going to be the healer for other people. You're going to be the warrior for other people based on your life experience, Virgo, up to this point, regardless of your age, right? We all have something to share. It's just how are you incorporating this into your gifts, talents, abilities, whether it's work or you're not working, share it. Share it with someone else, Virgo. All right, my friends, that was about it that I was going to share with this Chiron transit. So enjoy. Keep in mind, it's a long transit, so pace yourself. Pace yourself, give yourself grace here, Virgo, and we'll talk to you in the next video. Bye for now. Hey, Libra, sun or rising. Let's talk about the activations of Chiron moving through your 8th house. So hopefully you watched the beginning of my video where I described a little bit more detail of what Chiron brings to the table, the energy from an astrological, but also from a medical standpoint as well. And I do want to just remind you, Libra, I'm not a healer, I'm not a medical practitioner, I'm not a doctor, I'm not here to diagnose or treat, and I'm also not here to instill fear like all these horrible things are going to happen to you. Okay, we're just talking about Chiron from an astrological, from an 8th house perspective, but also I'm going to incorporate some health and well-being in here as well from a medical astrology angle here, Libra. So let's talk about the 8th house. So Chiron moving through this area of life, it is a heavier area of life, Libra, just to kind of give you a heads up here. But the 8th house can be more quieter from a psychological standpoint. So Chiron in this area might activate guilt, shame, trauma, power struggles, triggers in this respective area of life. Now, again, could be psychological, might be, I'm not saying literally all these things are going to happen to you. This would be things I'm thinking bubbling up from the past, Libra. Old triggers, old wounds, things coming back around that you don't understand why they're popping into your awareness. I do encourage, especially with this transit, Libra, if things bubble up subconsciously, or if you notice you're being extra sensitive or more maybe reactive than usual during this transit, keep in mind it's an 8-year transit, Libra. So some of you might not even feel this right away unless you have something in Taurus, unless you have a planet or angle sitting in Taurus or one of the fixed signs. So Leo, Aquarius, Scorpio, and Taurus, if you have anything in these angles. Some of you will feel this, some of you won't. But I'm just saying, if anything bubbles up, if you feel extra sensitive or extra triggered or extra something, seek out the assistance that you need, Libra. This is not a time to push things down into the body because it might come out in unhealthy ways, and it might manifest in the body as some sort of like psychosomatic or illness, or like an invisible illness that doctors can't help you with anyway. So again, just something to crunch on, Libra. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but just some examples here. This is the house of death and rebirth, quite literally. So Libra, your psyche is going through a whole new level of transformation. Think about the phoenix coming out of the ashes or the butterfly coming out of the cocoon. Once this transit is done and over with, it's like you're experiencing this euphoric moment of looking back of what you went through and how you've grown, even if it's from a psychological standpoint. Because again, this is the area of life that Chiron is going to help you strengthen as he moves through the birth chart. Now, the 8th house is also the mundane stuff. So this is money, there's the shared assets and resources that you have with a partner, whether in business or in marriage, or again, with family, friends, loved ones, shared businesses, things like that. This could also be taxes, debts, loans. This is how money comes to you, Libra. Like, how does money flow to you? So keep in mind there could be shame or trauma or guilt or activations in this area of life, depending on, again, how does money flow to you? Do you have a marital partner? Do you share assets with someone? Does your parents support you? Does your inheritance support you? Does the government support you? Does your savings account support you? Like, this is how money flows to you and through you, Libra. Now, if you are the breadwinner, Libra, then again, this would be more personal to you and maybe how you support other people. So if you're the breadwinner, Libra, this could go the other way. This could be about, again, those activations of, why am I supporting everyone? You know, my kids are draining my bank account, or my spouse doesn't want to work, or whatever the case may be, Libra. I'm just, again, throwing out some examples. It doesn't mean all of this stuff is going to happen, but it's just something to think about, especially if you are in a relationship. And not only marriage, this could also be business. Maybe you're flipping the bill and carrying a business partner, Libra, or vice versa. Maybe you are on the coattails of a business partner. This might be a bit of a reality check with Chiron moving through that 8th house. Again, is it going to happen? I don't know. I would have to see your personal birth chart, and maybe some of you, this isn't even your true 8th house. Like, for example, if you're watching for your sun sign, hard to say if this would be your true 8th house, because Chiron's not making any direct activations to you, Libra. You don't see eye to eye with the 8th house and the 6th house in the birth chart. Same with the 12th house and the 2nd house, right? So Virgo, Scorpio signs, you can't really see eye to eye with them either. Same with Taurus and Pisces. You don't really see eye to eye with them because they're in conjuncts in the birth chart, right? So like I said, you're all going to experience this a little bit differently, but I'm just giving you some possibilities. This is the house of the shadow. So again, things coming back around that you don't really understand why. And Libra, I'm going to say it. I'm probably going to get hate mail for this, but this is about taking responsibility for your own actions and not pointing the finger at other people and being aware of that. I mean, I feel like we're all guilty at this at some point, but the 8th house will bring that to your attention. This is an activation of that for sure. And again, some of you, I'm not saying all of you are like this, but the 8th house does remind me of that because it's the shadow. It's fear, power, control issues coming to the surface, and your relationship or your actions in also these areas of life. Because it's not always about life happening to you and attacking you, Libra. It's vice versa. Sometimes Chiron transits, I notice, is projections of your fear, your power, your intimacy issues, or your control issues, projectile vomiting on other people. So these transits, and I'm not picking on you, Libra, this is for all of us. It can go either way. So anyway, and I apologize for I'm pretty blunt, direct to the point, my friend. So I do apologize. I don't mean to upset or piss you off in any way, but this is what Chiron will be activating in this area of life. That's his purpose. He is the wounded healer. But Libra, by the end of this transit, you are going to be, like, the goal and the lesson here is that you are going to be the powerhouse warrior, healer, whatever you want to call it, once Chiron moves out of this area and into your 9th house. And this is a very gifted transit, Libra. This is the taboo house. This is, for those of you working in astrology, metaphysical, tarot, light worker, Reiki, like any sort of metaphysical work, this is an incredible transit, you know. And maybe this transit, maybe some of you don't even believe in that kind of stuff. I mean, if you're watching this video, I'd be kind of surprised. But Chiron's also going to activate the invisible side, the angelic realm, the other side, you know. They're showing me the veil. So I'm trying to explain that. It's like, well, what's on the other side of the veil, right? It's opening your eyes to sort of a new reality. That's also the 8th house. Some of you, yeah, I'm hearing like even tantric sex. I don't know anything about that, but yes, I'm hearing it, and it is the house of intimacy. So sexuality, intimacy could be coming up in this area of life. And this isn't like fluffy bunny one night stand crap. This is deep intimacy with your partner or with a potential partner. So yeah, Libra, this is, yes, this can be an intense transit. Some of you will feel this though, and some of you won't. It just depends on your age, your life experience, what you've gone through, where is your natal Chiron. Like as you can see, I'm just looking at a blank chart. So I would have to see the rest of your chart to kind of give you some hints and clues of activations here. But honestly, Libra, this is a powerful transit for you. Again, you are becoming the warrior, the healer to help other people in some way, shape, or form, right? In some way, shape, or form. I mean, being a Libra, if you're watching this, one-to-one connections, it's something to do with working with people one-to-one. That's definitely part of your purpose, Libra, part of your gifts, talents, and abilities, and Chiron's just going to strengthen that. Okay, I'm going to just quickly give you some examples of medical examples here, but again, this is general, like high level. This is, I'm saying this for each and every sign. Chiron in general, moving through the sign of Taurus, could bring up sensitivities to this area of the body here. So Taurus rules over the lower jaw or the teeth in general, the neck, the throat, the thyroid, the tonsils, the vocal cord, the tongue. So this area could be a little bit sensitive on the body, but again, there could be breakthroughs. Chiron's not doom and gloom here. There could be a huge healing happening with this area of life, and also in the 8th house for you, Libra. So also this just popped into my head, something to do with, there's going to be some of you out there that are healing your relationship with money. Because money's not bad. Money's not a bad energy. And again, if me saying that triggers something in you, then there you go. There's like a Chironic breadcrumb there for you. Because yeah, some of you need to work through like a money wound, or giving and receiving, like money flowing. Anyway, I know I went off on a tangent there, but they brought that in, so I wanted to spit that out. Okay, going back to Chiron and Taurus, another thing that could come up for each and every one of us, the fixed signs really hold on to toxins and buildup and sluggishness in the body. I know you're not a fixed sign, Libra, you're a cardinal energy, so it's different. But in general, toxins buildup might come up for each and every one of us. But again, breakthroughs could also happen as well. Like miracles, healing can also come through as well if you are having any issues in the body related to that. Also be mindful of resisting change. This is going to be for all of us. Especially, actually, you sort of double whammy here in the 8th house, because we talked about death and rebirth. I don't mean literally, by the way, Libra. I'm not saying you're going to die, but transforming something in your life. Because 8th house is also big life shifts and changes. It could even just be mentally, emotionally, psychologically. It doesn't have to be physical, but for you, it could be physical or invisible, so to speak. What else? Chronic conditions, chronic pain, for example, again, could be highlighted, emphasized with Chiron here, or again, opportunities to heal. And indulgence, yeah, self-inflicted indulgence. So Taurus is very luxurious. It's about the sensory experience. Well, you and Taurus have something in common. You're both ruled by Venus. So it could be about too much smoking, too much drinking, too much eating, too many drugs, too much of something. That could be brought to our awareness as well. But again, this is for everybody. I'm not just picking on you, Libra. This is just generically activations in Taurus, especially Chiron, which could go either way. But yeah, Libra, this is definitely an interesting transit for you. I don't want you to, There's no need to fear it. I just encourage you to work through this energy and don't hold your breath. Like, I'm getting the sensation of maybe some of you, yeah, you hold back or hold your breath. Time to start working through these issues. Time to take accountability. I'm not saying you're not now. And again, if that triggers you with me saying that, look into that. Think of, okay, why am I triggered by that? Why do I think that if someone says I'm not accountable for something, or to stop being the victim in something, why does that trigger me? It's because this is the shadow house too, Libra. So anyway, after this transit, my friends, like I said, you're going to be a powerhouse. This is where you're going to be able to help and heal other people, whatever that means to you, for you. And this is really going to amp up the emotional awareness, intelligence to a whole new scale, my friends, that I can't even articulate myself. Just emotionally strong, like very resilient type of energy coming in here too as well. All right, Libra, enjoy this transit and we will see you back here in the next video. Bye for now. Hey, Scorpio sun or rising, let's talk about Chiron moving through your 7th house. Now, hopefully you watched the first part of my video, Scorpio, where I talked a little bit about what Chiron represents from a medical, but also from an astrological standpoint. And I just also want to remind you, I'm not a physician, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a healer. I'm not here to diagnose or treat or doom and gloom or scare. We're just going to be straight up talking about Chiron and possible activations in this area of life for you, Scorpio. So, possible guilt, shame, trauma, awkwardness, or triggers around 7th house matters. So this is about contracts, agreements, negotiations, and keep in mind this has anything to do with your one-to-one connections, Scorpio, all walks of life. So this could be marriage, love, business, family, friends. It's anyone that you share a bed with, or anyone that you could possibly share an office with, or a business partnership with. Or again, maybe you're in business with a family, a sibling, a friend, a loved one, whatever the case may be. It's anything to do with your one-to-one connections and possible triggers coming from these individuals, Scorpio. So all in all, in general, just some really quick, easy examples would be, am I worthy of this relationship? Am I good enough to be with this person or this partner? Or do I deserve this? Those sorts of things might bubble up. Now, it could be vice versa though, Scorpio, okay? So it could be you're thinking, you know what, I'm too good for that. I don't need that in my life. I don't want to get involved with that. And I'm not saying either or is good or bad. I'm just throwing out some possibilities, some examples here. And the bigger thing though is going to be, again, the awkwardness, the triggers. Like, why is that person triggering you? Why is suddenly your marital partnership triggering you? You could be happily married for many, many, many years, and then suddenly your partner is like pissing you off and saying shit to you that's like just getting under your skin in a new way. It's sort of those type of triggers, Scorpio, I'm thinking might be coming up. And again, it could be family, could be friends, it could be loved ones, like it could be your career, it could be a boss, it could be an authority figure, it could be a parent or a grandparent that just says something to you and you just react. And you're kind of like, well, where the hell did that come from? Could be your kids too. If you've been following me for a while, anything that happens, Scorpio, in the 1st house, the 7th house, the 4th house, the 10th house could really activate all corners of your life. I'm thinking of a house, like all corners of your house are going to be activated here. So this could bleed into multiple areas of your life, including your identity. Like, who am I? How do I want to show up in this relationship or in this partnership? Another thing that I'm thinking of, Scorpio, is if you are single right now, regardless of age, Chiron in the 7th, you might actually attract in like wounded people, if that makes sense. And I'm not saying that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I'm just thinking of the lesson here with Chiron activating the 7th house of partnership. It's like this individual or these individuals, because this is a 7-8 year transit, are coming into your life for a reason to help you along, again, your life journey. And I guess, Scorpio, depending on your personality, maybe some of you are, well, first of all, I find the water signs, so yourself, Cancer, Pisces, you are natural healers, whether you realize it or not. That's the vibration you put out. So I'm thinking probably maybe some of you out there are like fixers, like you think you can fix your partner. Chiron's really going to test that. Also in business, are you in a business partnership with either one or multiple partners, where you are holding everything up, so to speak? Like you're the one holding all the sticks and everybody else is like riding your coattails. Or maybe you're the one that spearheads everything. And maybe you're okay with that. But again, Chiron's going to bring up kind of a gut check in these relationships. And vice versa, my friends. Like I said, vice versa. I could take it, like say you're riding somebody else's coattails unintentionally. Like again, if you're being triggered by anything I'm saying, by the way, investigate that further, right? That's part of these Chiron transits is, why am I being triggered by what's being said to me? Why is that person triggering me? Why is this situation all of a sudden triggering me? So something to kind of investigate or look into. So as I was saying, maybe you are kind of following someone else's lead. And with the help of Chiron, this is going to help you break free and do your own thing with your own people, with your own, I don't know, you fill in the blank. And that's okay. Again, depending on your age, depending on your life circumstances. I mean, at the end of the day, Scorpio, I'm looking at a blank chart here. So I don't know where your natal Chiron is. Again, look to that. That's the key. And I don't know if Chiron is activating anything else besides if you're watching this video. Yes, at some point he's going to be opposing whatever you're watching for, sun, moon, rising, which is a rebalancing. So Chiron opposing planets, placements, points in the birth chart is just a rebalancing. So again, are you giving too much in a relationship? Are you the breadwinner? Are you doing everything for everyone, including your family? Like I said, this could bleed out to multiple areas of life. Or vice versa. Maybe you're too reliant on a partner. Maybe you're like, and this transit might be a gut check of standing on your own 2 feet. And again, if that triggers you, if you're saying, well, no, I stand on my own 2 feet, well, again, look into that, investigate that a little bit more. But ultimately, Scorpio, this transit is meant to bring out, or I should say the lesson or the goal of this transit is to strengthen this area of life. And it makes you the warrior, the healer, whatever you want to call yourself or call this transit. And it gives you the gift, the talent, the abilities to help other people through this transit as well, while we are working on ourselves, within reason, of course, within reason. Because like I said, these transits could go either way. This isn't about life attacking us, Scorpio, or you in particular. It could also be vice versa. Like, what are you projecting onto other individuals, especially if you're a Scorpio rising? This could be about you projecting onto another partner, and maybe the partner or partnership finally calls you out on it during this transit, and then you need to respond or react or take action on something, right? So again, think of rebalancing something. If it's your moon, regulating your emotions, regulating the rhythms in the body too, because this is also a health and well-being transit. And actually, speaking of that, Scorpio, I touched on this a little bit at the beginning of the video, but Chiron in general, this is for all of us. transiting the fixed sign of Taurus. The fixed signs, so this includes you, by the way. Fixed signs, I notice they tend to hold on to toxins in the body, build up in the body, sluggishness in the body. So again, I'm not saying this is going to be for each and every one of you, but something could come up with regarding holding on to things physically in the body and not releasing them. Also, if anything bubbles up from the past, because this is hitting your big angular houses, work with the right practitioner to get it out of your body. So whoever that is, naturopathic doctor, an actual doctor, a healer, acupuncture, I don't know, whatever. Scorpio, whoever that can help you, a therapist, like whoever can help you get this out of your body, because this isn't a transit to hang on to things, whether it's mentally, emotionally, psychologically, or even physically. Especially you being a fixed sign, this is something that may or may not resonate with you. Resisting change, that's also going to come up for all of us, especially the fixed signs. All of you are, I'm going to say out of all the signs, all the fixed signs are being activated here. So Leos, Aquarians, Taurus individuals, and then yourself. So it's about leaning into change and trying to figure out ways to adapt to change, even if it's just like baby bites, like small steps to change. It doesn't have to be leaps and bounds. Also, Scorpio, some other things that could come up is like chronic conditions. The fixed signs kind of represent chronic, not acute, not quick, fast. It's more so like that dull pain or like dull sensations or a dull toothache or something like that. And it's like, what are we going to do about it? And again, it could be breakthroughs, right? It could be healing. It could be, yeah, I'm not saying doom and gloom, like all these horrible things are going to happen. It could go either way with Chiron activations. This is also a really indulgent transit for all of us, because Taurus is ruled by Venus. So, think sweet tooth. Think, especially if you have Venus in the 6th house or in Virgo, I find, wicked sweet tooth. Or I guess Venus in Libra actually can bring on the sweet tooth as well. So indulgent. So think too much smoking, too much eating, too much drinking, too much partying, too much of something, which could lead to, again, different manifestations, right? It could be psychological, it could be mental, it could be physical. Think impact to the body. So it's like self-infliction, so to speak. So Chiron and Taurus could bring up that as well. Also, this part of the body is going to get sensitive too with this Chiron trend. And this is for all of us. This isn't just for you, Scorpio. So the lower, like the jaw, the lower jaw, the teeth, the throat, the neck, the thyroid, the tongue, the vocal cords. So those could be sensitive spots on the body during this transit, but there could also be breakthroughs. So if you're having any issues with those areas of the body, there could be, again, healing, right? Chiron's the wounded healer. So yes, there's a wound or an illness or an affliction, whether it's mental, physical, emotional, psychological, but healing can also take place in this area of life. And again, Scorpio, this is the area of life where you're going to help other people at some point. Some of you are ready to move into that role now. With Chiron, such a long stay in your 6th house of health and well-being. Some of you probably already went through it already, like a health bout or a health incident, possibly acute, like it came out of nowhere, but it also could have been chronic because you are a fixed sign. So I can see it either way. So maybe some of you are taking that next step, helping one-to-one, like you working one-to-one with people. Could be counseling, could be therapy, could be a teacher, an educator, an elder. Like I said, a mentor, teacher, coach. Maybe some of you are becoming a marital coach or a sex therapist or something. Like anything to do with those one-to-one connections, right, Scorpio? So, really interesting transit, my friends. And just always keep in mind balance, right? Chiron opposing you for the next 8 years or so. making sure the relationships that you get into or that you're currently in, that will be another thing that Chiron will sort of test is it a balanced relationship, or are you doing all the work? Are they doing all the work? Something probably will need to shift and change in this area of life for you, or how you approach these relationships, Scorpio, will probably have to shift and change. And like I said, maybe you won't even notice it until many, many, many years down the road when this transit gets closer to your 8th house. Like I said, we're all kind of on a different path, and Chiron is easier to work with as we get older, but it doesn't mean if you're like a 20-year-old watching this that you're going to suffer. It's just life experience. So Chiron's going to help you. And if you're watching this video, by the way, and you're like 20 years oldish and you're young, this is going to give you a leg up. This is going to give you the awareness that, say, you know, people in their 40s, 50s, 60s and beyond, like, we didn't have this, maybe. We didn't have these tools or educational awareness or videos to bring this into our awareness. Like, oh, maybe that's why that's happening. Maybe that's why I'm attracting in partners that are just broken and they need help, and they're, you know, they're leaning on me for that support, right? Or again, vice versa. So really interesting transit, not only for you, Scorpio, but for all of us as well. A new area of life is being worked on by Chiron. So enjoy this transit, my friends, and we'll see you back here in the next video. Bye for now. Hey, Sagittarius sun or rising. Let's talk about Chiron moving through your 6th house for the next 8 years or so, Sagittarius. So keep in mind, this is not a light switch energy, Sag. This is not going to happen overnight. So if you watched, I'm hoping you watched the first part of my video where I kind of gave you a brief introduction of Chiron, and whether from a medical or an astrological standpoint. So Sag, possible guilt, shame, awkwardness, trauma, triggers, the shadow could be coming up around 6th house matters. Now, the 6th house is a heavy house, Sag. I'm not going to lie. It's a very busy day-to-day type of house. So meaning you could get activations and triggers just moving about your day. Okay. And again, I'm not here to doom and gloom. I hope you watched the beginning of my video. I'm not here to piss people off. I'm not here to Debbie down this transit. This is what Chiron brings to the table. But we can also become the ultimate warrior and healer in this respective area of life, Sag. So duty, responsibility triggers, doing things for your family, doing things for people at work. This is the house of work, by the way. This is the house of how you're showing up in the workplace if you do work. And then if you don't work, this is about sharing your gifts, your talents, your abilities to something else, to a greater good or to a greater cause, Sag, because we all have stories to share, regardless of the age, regardless of our experiences. We all have something to bring to the table. And Chiron does get easier the older that we get. Now, it doesn't mean if you're a 20-year-old watching this that it's doom and gloom. First of all, if you're a 20-year-old watching this or a young person watching this, I applaud you, by the way, because a lot of us didn't have these tools back then, thanks to the internet. And now you have this self-awareness of possible triggers or awkwardness or trauma or guilt or shame activations coming through your day-to-day duty and responsibility and how you're showing up for work. This also includes your habits, routines. So this is all type of habits though. The good, the bad, the ugly, the beautiful. All your type of habits are going to be up for some revision here, or activations, I should say, with Chiron here. And Sag, this is the house of health and well-being. So I'm just going to put it out there. If you are not taking care of your vessel, your body, I want to strongly encourage you to start doing that. So, and again, I'm not trying to doom and gloom you, okay? I'm not, I know I keep saying this, but I want to be crystal clear. Like, I'm not a doctor. I'm not I'm not trying to project trauma onto you. When Chiron's moving through the 6th house, this sometimes can bring an ailment or an illness to the surface. Now, it could be physical, could be psychological, could be mental, could be emotional. Sag, I'm just looking at a blank chart here. I don't even know if this is your true 6th house. If it's your sun sign, this may not resonate with you, okay? Because the 6th house does not see eye to eye with you. Like, you don't see eye to eye with Taurus, Cancer, Scorpio, and Capricorn on the wheel, technically, especially if you're rising, because you can't see them in your vision. So this transit could also be out of sight, out of mind. Some of you might not even feel this transit, but I do find 6th house transits usually activate something to do with reaching out to a practitioner. That could be a therapist, that could be a doctor, that could be a surgeon, that could be a light worker, that could be a healer. It really could be anyone. Chiro, massage. Because again, Chiron is, yes, he's the wounded healer. So yes, a wound could come to the surface, but you can also find healing in this area of life. So if you're already experiencing health issues, Sag, Chiron here could bring in the perfect medicine, so to speak, the perfect healer, the perfect practitioner that's going to help you once and for all with your ailments, whatever they may be. And again, look to your natal Chiron. That's also going to give you some indications as well. And is this transit going to be activating your natal Chiron? Because if so, that's a milestone. This is part of your story that you're sort of generating here with Chiron moving along the wheel. But Sag, all in all, the lesson or the goal here is to strengthen this area of life for you. And again, it's a busy house. It's a very busy house. If health and well-being does not resonate with you, then think of it as work, as how you are showing up for work every single day. And if you don't like your job, if you don't like the grind, then Chiron is going to help you change and shift that. And also with Saturn and Neptune in your 5th house, helping you find what you're looking for, bringing back the joy, Sag. Once this transit is done and Chiron's moving into your 7th house, this is where you're going to have the abilities to help other people. Some of you are probably ready for that now, because again, everybody experiences these transits differently. I'm just throwing out examples, by the way. I don't know if I said that. I'm not saying all of these things are going to impact you. It's just I'm spitting out examples, Sag. And again, this is a long ass transit. So you could be feeling things now. You could be feeling things 5 years from now. Also, do you have anything in Taurus? Do you have anything in Scorpio? Do you have anything in Leo or Aquarius? And if you do, then you probably will feel this transit more so than others. Because this transit is not making a conversation with your sun, moon, or rising. Yeah, it's an inconjunct, but it's really tough to say how inconjuncts manifest because they could be more, I find inconjuncts are more psychological. So it could be like healing on a psychological level, connecting with, as I mentioned, a therapist to help you work through trauma or past pain. Wherever your natal Chiron is, that's going to give you a hint, a clue of possibilities that might be bubbling up to the surface, but they're coming at you from a 6th house perspective. So work, day-to-day duty and responsibility, everybody pulling on you, your health and well-being. How are you taking care of your vessel? I also forgot about pets. Pets and animals lie in the 6th house as well. So maybe this transit isn't even about you, Sag. Maybe it's about your animals, especially those of you that work with animals. Or some of you, I'm hearing something about working with children too. I'll throw that out there. But I'm thinking for those of you that have like, what do you call that? Not like, yes, farms. Yes, I'm thinking of farms, but like, it's almost like rescue centers for animals. That's a huge Chiron transit right there. Because, or taking care of wounded animals. That could be another, this could be an incredible way to share your gifts, talents, and abilities, Sag, as well. You are also affiliated with the horse, Sagittarius. So it could be big animals or tiny animals, I guess is what I'm getting at here. But I can see some of you, they're showing me horses specifically. So I thought I'd throw that out there. Because yeah, I do find Sagittarians, sun, moon, rising, or if you have a stellium, you always cross paths with, or you have a connection with the horse, or it's part of your totem, like your spiritual animal totem, or part of your spiritual team for that matter, horses or unicorns for that. I'll just throw that out there as a possibility too, that what I've seen. Okay. Let's see, Sag, what else? Yeah, and I think a lot of you, like I mentioned, maybe some of you will be helping other people heal from a diet, health, nutrition perspective too. Like I'm thinking food sensitivities, allergies, anything like that. You could be going through this, or maybe this transit is going to, you're educating yourself. I'm thinking, especially with Jupiter moving into your 9th house, you could be becoming the teacher, Sag. You could be collecting all this knowledge and experience while Chiron is in your 6th, and then you becoming the individual that heals other people. Again, whether physically, mentally, psychologically, emotionally, or something to do with diet, health, nutrition. Yeah, so anyway, I know I threw a lot at you, Sag, but those are just examples. If it resonates, great. If it doesn't, leave it. Put it on the back burner, because again, this is a long transit for all of us. Now, in general, Chiron moving through Taurus could represent or could bring up certain sensitivities in the body. And again, this is your 6th house too, so it's like double activations here. Toxins build up in the body. That's pretty common with the fixed signs. You're not a fixed sign, you're a mutable sign. But I'm just saying in general for all of us, we could be dealing with sluggishness in the body or the body not releasing toxins. That's why it's important to get the body systems moving and functioning properly, because we don't want to hold on to this energy. And if it's emotionally, psychologically, again, try your best, Sagittarius, to work through this energy, or at least that's what I'm recommending, because it could manifest as strange things happening in the body, like psychosomatic illnesses, I'm thinking as well. Again, not for all of you, but it's a possibility. Also, resisting change. That's common too with Chiron moving through a fixed sign such as Taurus. Chronic conditions, not so much about acute. So maybe chronic conditions coming to an end, or chronic conditions being brought to your awareness so you actually do something about it. Sag, that could be another possibility too for all of us. And indulgence. Chiron in the 6th house, Taurus, very indulgent. So too much eating, too much smoking, too much drinking, too much of something, too much drugs, even too much homeopathic remedies. Yes, there's a such thing as that, where you're ingesting too much and then your body just becomes numb to all of this stuff that you're ingesting. So it's just being aware of sort of this transit and how it's working with you, Sag. Like I said, everybody, it's going to be different. And how is this talking to the rest of your birth chart? Other sensitivities, kind of this area of the body here with Taurus. Again, I'm specifically just talking about Chiron activating Taurus in general. The lower jaw, the teeth, the tongue, the throat, the thyroid, the neck, the vocal cords, and the tonsils. So sensitivities in this area of life, but also breakthroughs, breakdowns, transitions, healing in this area. For all of us, not just you, Sag, for all of us. So again, simple example, if you've had a toothache or if you've had a teeth, jaw type of issues, not a bad time to investigate a little bit further and find the right practitioner that's going to help you once and for all. Because yeah, I love Chiron in the 6th house for that matter. It's like being in the right place at the right time to find the right practitioner for you, Sag, that's going to just help you heal. But keep in mind, it's a journey. It's not going to happen overnight. Maybe some of you it will. But for the rest of us, I'm thinking this is more long-term and slow and steady wins the race. It's not about popping a pill and then you're young and glowing the next morning. You know, it's more about putting in the work. The 6th house is the grind. Like chop wood, carry water to make your vessel healthy again, or the mind, or however this is, again, activating you, Sag. So anyway, I hope this helps, Sagittarius. Just, again, educational purposes. And I hope I didn't scare you or trigger you or anything like that. But if I did trigger you by saying something, get curious about that. You know, lean into that. Be like, why am I triggered by that comment? Why is that coming up for me? Or why doesn't that feel good in my body when I hear that? Or why does my body not feel good when I eat something or ingest something? You know, it's those type of things that are going to be coming into your awareness, I think, over the next several years. Anyway, Sag, enjoy this transit and we'll see you back here in the next video. Bye for now. Hey, Capricorn sun or rising. Let's talk about Chiron transiting your 5th house of Taurus and what activations could be coming to the surface. So Capricorn, hopefully you watched the first part of my video. So I just want to repeat a couple things here. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a physician. I'm not here to blame, shame, or trigger anything for you or about you. This is just what Chiron brings to the table, my friends. So again, take this with a grain of salt. If it resonates, great. If it doesn't, maybe put it in your back pocket, because at the end of the day, this transit, Capricorn, is just getting started, okay? And we have an 8-year stay with Chiron in the 5th house, Capricorn. So possible guilt, shame, trauma, triggers, wounds, awkwardness in the 5th house, or coming out of the 5th house into your Capricorn planets, placements, points, whatever you're watching for right now. So what is the 5th house? So the 5th house is actually not a horrible house. I like the 5th house and the 11th house. Those are my favorite houses. So, and Capricorn, you know, this energy is flowing to you, but it doesn't mean, I don't want to give you the impression that this is going to be a cakewalk, okay? It'll probably feel like a cakewalk compared to Chiron moving through your 4th house. I could tell you that right now. And for those of you that have been watching me for a while, I'm also a Capricorn rising. So yeah, I've been through this too. So I get it. I'm looking forward to Chiron getting off of our sun, moon rising, or whatever you're watching for, okay, my friends? But I also don't want to get too carried away thinking this is going to be all sunshine and roses and rainbows in the 5th house. So, because still this is Chiron. This is still triggers and activations and things coming back around from the past. So the 5th house is children, Capricorn, or grandchildren for that matter. Love affairs, romance, dating, sex, creative projects, creative endeavors, the creative streak in us, the, you know, letting the freak flag fly, so to speak. It's how we express ourselves, Cap. Any sort of businesses that we want to launch or that are percolating right now, I guess depending on when you're watching this video. 5th house can be dramatic, can be about drama. It can be also fertility or starting a family, whatever that means to you, for you. Joy, pleasure, gambling is in this house as well, and our hobbies. This is where the spark of life starts, either from a love, romantic standpoint, a creative standpoint, or again, this is where businesses are born. This is the 5th house always takes me back to like elementary school when the teacher asks you, you know, what do you want to be when you grow up, right? That's the 5th house energy coming in here, Capricorn. So again, it sounds strange, a very joyful, jovial, happy, blessed house, and you're getting triggers from this house. So I'll give you some simple examples, Capricorn. Again, may or may not happen. This is going to manifest differently for everyone, but maybe for some of you, something to do with children. Maybe some of you couldn't have children. Maybe some of you don't have children. Maybe this is about your children triggering you, your grandchildren triggering you, Capricorn. You know, them giving you lip or whatever the case may be. Or this happened actually to somebody I know recently where they don't have children. They're on their own. They're single. And it suddenly hit them, and they're in their mid 40s, I would say, and it suddenly hit them like they don't have kids. And they never had the opportunity to have kids. I don't think it's because they can't get pregnant, but I could be wrong about that. Because this is also fertility triggers, okay? Also, I'm going to say it, and I hope I don't piss people off, but miscarriages too. But this is triggers about miscarriages. I'm not saying, I want to be crystal clear here. I'm not saying you're going to have a miscarriage, Capricorn, but it did pop into my head of triggers. I'm not predicting, okay? I'm not like crystal ball here in front of me. Triggers, trauma, shame, awkwardness. So, like I said, going back to this individual, you know, she brought this up to me, and I thought that is a perfect example of Chiron in the 5th house. Perfect example. And she's experiencing this now with Aries, with Chiron moving through Aries. So that's just an example, Capricorn. And like I said, forgive me. I don't mean to, okay? I don't mean to trigger you or piss you off, but these are the realities of Chiron moving through this area of life, even though it's a fluffy bunny house. It is. The 5th house is fluffy bunny. Romance, dating, sex, all this stuff. But you see what I mean? Chiron brings out the wound and the trauma, but ultimately his goal is to make us extremely strong emotionally, physically, psychologically in the area that he's transiting. But it is a journey, right? It is a journey. Another simple example I'm going to give is relationships, Capricorn. You know, this is the house of romance. Chiron, if you're rising, Cap, this is going to make an aspect to your love line, your business line, your relationship line. So it could bring up thoughts, again, triggers, the shadow of, or awkwardness of, am I worthy? Am I worthy of this business? Am I worthy of this job? Am I worthy of this contract? Am I worth that much money? You know, what is my worth? It's Taurus after all, too. Money is going to come into the picture. Money wounds are going to be possibly coming up for all of us too, Capricorn. Am I worthy of this marital relationship? Do I even want to be in this relationship anymore? Dating, putting yourself out there if you're single. Now, again, I'm not predicting here, Capricorn. I would have to see other transits in your chart. For example, Jupiter moving through Cancer right now. Yes, he's moving into the 8th house soon. That would have brought in a partnership, some sort of partnership to you over the past year, depending on when you're watching this video. But Chiron, at some point, activating your love line could mean bring in like self-consciousness around dating, or, oh, I can't go after that person, like I'm not good enough for that person, or vice versa. You know, maybe someone's chasing you and you're like, no, I'm too good for you. No, I'm too old for you. No, I'm too young for you. So Capricorn, it could go either way. I'm not picking on you. I'm not trying to, you know, maliciously poke the bear. I'm challenging you to think about this transit from a different perspective. But on the other side of the coin, it's not about life attacking you or life coming at you. It could be how you project yourself onto other people, how you project yourself in your relationships or creative projects or creative endeavors. So it could go either way. Now, with Chiron trining your sun, your moon, your rising, Capricorn, and again, making an opportunity aspect to your partnership sector, marriage, love, business. Incredible transit for healing, my friends. Incredible. Like bringing in a partnership, like the one, basically, like the one, finding the perfect partnership, finding, I shouldn't say perfect because I don't think there's such thing as that, but finding the right connection in business or in love. Finding, if you've been going through health struggles, it's like reaching a milestone, getting over a hump. And also it depends on, did I say this already? Look to your birth chart. Where is Chiron in your natal birth chart? Because are there any activation, like is Pluto, Uranus, Neptune, Saturn, Jupiter, are any one of those outer planets activating your Chiron over the next several years? Which might not even be related to this transit. Because it could be a milestone with your health and well-being, and Chiron does get easier with age. Capricorns and Aquarians sort of understand this too because we're ruled by Saturn, and Saturn gets younger with age, believe it or not. Yeah. It's like we're really, like, were you a really stuffy kid, Capricorn? Were you like all business, no pleasure, no play? You weren't outside playing, you were like inside pretending to be a teacher? You know, or something along those lines. Being the boss, bossing around your siblings or cousins or whatever. Capricorns loosen up as they get older. And same with Chiron. Chiron gets easier to work with as you get older. Now, if you're watching this and you're, in your 20s, I'm not trying to say this is going to be a shitty transit for you. If you're watching this video at such a young age, I applaud you because now you have the knowledge, you have the awareness. You can be like, oh, you know what? All my friends around me are getting pregnant and having babies, and I don't want that yet. So is that wrong? Should I be shameful of that? Hell no. That's just an example. You're aware of it now. So you can say, no, that's just Chiron working with me, working through this wound, trauma, shame, guilt, whatever you want to call it, trigger. So Capricorn, at the end of the day, I think I might have already repeated myself here, but the lesson, the goal here is to strengthen this area of life, you becoming the warrior or the healer in this area of life, and you having the abilities, the skill set to help other people in this area of life. And it's about sharing your experience, Capricorn. You just went through Pluto going through your sign. So Pluto at some point would have came into contact with your sun, your moon, your rising, whatever you have in Capricorn right now. That in itself, my friends, trust me, I know, that is enough to share with the world. Share your experience. I'm going to put it out there. I've no doubt some of you, Pluto possibly crippled your body or transformed your body in some way, shape, or form, right? Maybe things coming out of the body, things coming into the body, right? And if you haven't experienced that, that's okay. Like, that's okay. Again, it depends on your age, and I don't mean to scare you. The transit's come and gone, my friends, so don't worry about it. Pluto's in the second house. So anyway, Capricorn, I hope that gives you some things to think about. Last but not least, Chiron moving through Taurus, just in general, I sort of touched on this at the beginning. It's going to make this area of the body a little bit more sensitive. So the jaw, the lower jaw, the teeth, the throat, the neck, the thyroid, the vocal cords, the tonsils, the tongue, breakdowns or breakthroughs when it comes to this area of the body. But day to day for us, it just could mean this part of the body is a little bit more sensitive. So guard the throat, guard the mouth, the teeth, thyroid, if you've been having thyroid issues. Again, it's not for everyone though, okay? Like this is general, generic. I'm saying this for every single sign. So just something to keep in mind. Also, Chiron moving through a fixed sign can bring up sluggishness in the body, slowness in the body, which, could be a good thing or a bad thing, but I'm just thinking of, trying to get toxins and gunk out of the body. we want it to get out of the body, right? We don't want it to stick around in the body. So that's something that could be coming up. Also, resistance to change. That can come up with Chiron moving through a fixed sign such as Taurus. So again, all of us will be moving through that, especially in this day and age, the fire and air age. It's just, yeah, I think that's going to be a push-pull mentality for the collective. Like, this is going to definitely be a bigger scale thing. Also, chronic pain, chronic conditions might come up during this transit, but breakthroughs. So everything I'm saying, there could also be breakthroughs because Chiron is the wounded healer. So yes, there's a wound. Yes, there's an illness. Yes, there's, some sort of chronic pain, but there could be breakthroughs, milestones, healing happening during this transit as well. Because Chiron is not all bad. Yes, activations to your natal Chiron can indicate, an illness, whether it's mental, emotional, psychological, or physical. But then as we have more transits to our natal Chiron, we heal, we get better, we transition, we move through that pain. We find the right practitioners to come towards us to help us heal. All right, Capricorn, I hope that helped. Enjoy this transit, my friends, and keep in mind this is a long transit, okay? So it's not going to happen overnight. You might want to bookmark this, save this, come back to it, 5 years from now and see if any of this resonates. We'll see you in the next video, Capricorn. Bye for now. Hey, Aquarius, sun or rising. Let's talk about Chiron activating the foundation, the bottom of your sky. So Aquarius, I hope you watched the first part of my video. I described Chiron a little bit and what it sort of brings to the table from a medical perspective, but also from an astrological perspective. So Aquarius, possible guilt, shame, trauma, triggers, awkwardness coming in through that fourth house, Aquarius. So fourth house is very personal to us, and sometimes it can be what happens behind closed doors, because sometimes the foundation of our sky people do not see, except the people that we live with, like whether it's your children or your grandchildren or your parents or spouse, family, whatever you want, whoever you live with, Aquarius. So family, home, roots, ancestry, the past, how you're taking care of your body, Aquarius, is also going to be coming up. Retirement, plans of retirement, mother, father, authority figures in your life, and you as a parent, Aquarius. So those are some examples of the fourth house. So again, this is where triggers, things bubbling up from the past suddenly are coming through this fourth house or through these fourth house individuals. Like I said, your partner, your spouse, your kids, your grandkids, your parents or grandparents. Now, Aquarius, all of the fixed signs are experiencing this. So anything that happens in the angular houses, if you follow me for a while, I say this all the time. First house, fourth house, seventh house, 10th house. Any sort of activations in these houses usually ripple out to all corners of your life, quite literally, because these are the big foundational angles of our lives. First house is us, our physical body, our physical being. Fourth house is home, family, foundation, the past, the ancestry, roots, home, where we come from. Seventh house, anything to do with one-to-one connections, relationships, marriage, business, contracts, agreements, negotiations. 10th house, career, purpose, identity, status, our work in the world. And again, the 10th house is also a parental access. So mother, father, authority figures, bosses, anyone in a position of power, Aquarius. So yes, these triggers or activations are coming out of the fourth house. But if that doesn't resonate with you, so for example, say you live alone. So you live alone, you're single, you live alone, whether you have pets or not, and you're thinking to yourself, I'm cool, I'm good. But this is, to give you an example, this is a pretty common transit of childhood trauma or childhood thoughts, images coming into the awareness, coming into your mind, things that you never even thought of until this transit. Or again, if that doesn't resonate, it's going to bleed through your one-to-one connections. So work, colleagues, your friendship circles, siblings, family, cousins, anything, relatives, you name it, Aquarius. So this transit is going to obviously transpire differently for everyone. I'm just spitting out some examples. And keep in mind, this is a long transit. I can't remember if I said that or not. 8 years, 7-8 year transit, Aquarius. So some of you, this might not resonate right now, but bookmark this, save this somewhere so you can maybe come back to it in a year or 2 years or whatever, 5 years from now, and see what comes up for you in this area of life. But Aquarius, I'm not here to doom and gloom this. This is Chiron after all. He is the wounded healer. So healing can also happen in this area of life. At the end of the day, the lesson or the goal here is to strengthen you physically, emotionally, psychologically, mentally in this area of life, wherever he's transiting. And then you becoming the warrior or the healer in this area of life. And of course, pulling in this experience as Chiron moves through the rest of your chart and bringing in those abilities and that skill set and that emotional intelligence to help other people in this area of life and to share your experience, Aquarius. We all have Chiron somewhere in our birth chart. That's where we naturally have a wound. We naturally have something that triggers us in that respective area of life. So what transiting Chiron does is continue to tell your story, but along the way, you are also healing, again, mentally, emotionally, psychologically, or physically, or all of the above, and sharing your story and helping other people while helping yourself. Because I find with the Chiron transits, especially milestone transits, you are healing, and at the same time you're helping and healing others, and then that just transcends you even higher because it makes you feel good. It lights you up. You're like, you know what? As an example, say you're confined to a wheelchair, but you're helping other people get over that who were just confined to a wheelchair or just had an incident happen to them. And then you sharing your experience with them transcends them and makes them feel better and helps them with their chironic wound or their issue or whatever the case may be. So you see what I mean? It's a ripple effect for all of us, Aquarius. So forgive me, I don't mean to blame or shame or trigger anyone, but if I am triggering you, get curious about that. Be like, why am I, because this is just a breadcrumb, right? We're not even, well, depending on when you're watching this video, but we're not even in this transit yet. We're just getting started, I should say. We're just getting started. So if there's something I said to you that makes your body tighten up or brings in fear, or you're thinking to yourself, well, I don't want to relive that, then start taking those steps now if it has something to do with the 4th house that's going to help you through this, Aquarius. And again, I don't mean to trigger you. And like I said, I hope everybody watches the beginning of this video because I did my trigger warnings there. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a physician. I'm not here to say I'm a healer or I'm a magic worker or anything like that. Astrology is symbolic and it's how I interpret it. And then also medical astrology as well, which is another angle. But again, it's an opinion and it's symbolic. So, I mean, yeah, I'm definitely far from a physician. So anyway, Aquarius, I hope that kind of helps explain some of the possibilities here. But again, the end goal is to strengthen the foundation of your life. So these issues, triggers, trauma coming out of this area of life is not going to impact you anymore. It's not even going to phase you anymore. You're not even going to respond anymore. or I should say react. You're not going to react anymore to these triggers of family and siblings and whoever, relatives, Aunt Betty who keeps pissing you off or whatever the case may be. They're looking for a reaction out of you. And the best power is not even reacting, not even responding, because that is a response. Not responding is a response. So Aquarius, that's kind of what I'm thinking some of you may be going through with this transit. But again, I'm looking at a blank chart here, Aquarius, okay? So yes, Chiron at some point will be squaring your sun, your moon, your rising, whatever you're watching for. Don't be afraid of squares. Squares make you take action in this area of life. So you are one of the signs, all the fixed signs I know are going to be taking action to grow in these respective areas of life. And again, big angles are being activated for all the fixed signs, all of them. Whereas the other signs that are having this, say, as a trine or a sextile, I don't know if they're going to take that opportunity to heal. I really don't know. And I've mentioned that to the respective signs. Sometimes you won't feel this transit, but the squares you feel, you definitely feel. So Aquarius, like again, we talked about it, healing from a career, a purpose standpoint, healing from relationship or how you relate one-to-one with people, healing an identity wound. This might have nothing to do with the fourth house, but maybe it stems from the fourth house. Maybe you had a parent that teased you and called you names as a child, and then you wonder why as an adult you have identity issues, or you're self-conscious about, I don't know, you're something on your face or something on your body because you were teased as a kid. So it's those type of activations that might happen during this transit, Aquarius. Again, it's a long transit. And if it's your moon, again, it's a trigger from fourth house. Like moon is connected to the fourth house, and also how you're taking care of your physical vessel, your physical body, Aquarius. And with that said, I'm going to give you some examples from a medical standpoint in general. Chiron moving through Taurus. I'm saying this for all the signs. Generally, Chiron moving through a fixed energy. So you are also a fixed energy, Aquarius. So some of this actually might resonate with you. The fixed signs hold on to toxins and build up in the body, like sluggishness in the body. Like think of the systems like slowing down and not releasing or getting rid of toxins, like swelling or retaining things in the body that are not so good for us. So this is about learning to release them, working with the right practitioners to make sure we release them. Aquarius, massage therapy is coming to mind here for you. That's what they're showing me. So that might be beneficial. Anything to do with like the body, like manipulating the body, even like reflexology, massage therapy, something to do with water. I don't know if that's hypno something. Some sort of water therapy, Aquarius. So anyway, the fixed signs also resist change, whether you're conscious of it or not. Of course, depending on the rest of your birth chart too, it depends, and where your natal Chiron is, but resisting change, whether it's physically, emotionally, psychologically, or mentally, and not holding on to that in the body, learning to release it. And again, working with the right people that'll help you move through that. Chronic pain could be an issue for all of us, or it could come up, but there's also breakthroughs with chronic pain, because again, Chiron is the wounded healer. So yes, he is wounded or she is wounded, but you also have the ability to heal yourself and heal other people at the same time while you're working through your trauma, shame, guilt, illness, whatever the case may be. Another thing, indulgence. So, Taurus is a very indulgent sign. So too much eating, too much drinking, too much smoking, too much sitting around. Again, think of sluggishness in the body slowing down, which is not the best thing. Like too many sweets and things like that. Because again, Taurus is ruled by Venus. Venus, she likes her sweets and sugar, especially if your Venus is, well, for you Aquarius, I guess depending on what you're watching for, but if you have Venus in the 6th house, Taurus or Libra, sweet tooth, right? So ingesting, it's what we put in the body. Also, Taurus rules over kind of this area of the body, so it's going to make things a little bit more sensitive. So the jaw, the lower jaw, the teeth, the throat, the neck, the thyroid, the tonsils, the vocal cords. So sensitivities to this area of life, try to protect it if you can, Aquarius, especially if you play sports, for example. But again, breakthroughs in this area of the body too, from a collective global level. So it could be collective or it could be personal, right? And this is not going to resonate for all of you. I'm saying this for every sign. It really comes down to your personal birth chart, Aquarius. And if you have any other activations to more so your natal Chiron, or if you have anything, like I said, sitting in Taurus, Scorpio, Leo as well, that's going to be activating other areas of the body as well, or other areas of life for sure. Otherwise, Aquarius, enjoy this transit. I hope this video helped, and we will see you back here in the next one. Bye for now. Hey, Pisces, rising or sun. Let's talk about Chiron moving into Taurus, your 3rd house, for a nice long 8-year stay approximately. So Pisces, I hope you watched the first part of my video. I sort of explained briefly what Chiron brings to the table, what he represents. And also we're going to talk a little bit about medical astrology. So I just want to repeat myself. Like I said at the beginning, I'm not a doctor, not a physician. I'm not here to treat or heal or diagnose anyone. I'm definitely not a healthcare practitioner. I don't even work in the healthcare field, but I do love medical astrology. And also, folks, if you are in a sensitive spot right now, bookmark this video and come back to it, okay? Because Chiron can open up some wounds for us, and I'm certainly not here to inflict pain or trauma or trigger anyone. However, with that said, that's what Chiron does bring to the table, my friends. So let's get started here. Pisces, possible. Everyone's going to experience this differently too. Okay, so this would have to be your true 3rd house. Some of you, this might be part of your 2nd house, your 4th house, depending on the house system that you resonate with, or I guess depending on what you're watching for too as well. Possible guilt, shame, awkwardness, triggers, trauma coming out of this 3rd house for you, Pisces, over the next 8 years. And keep in mind, this is not light switch energy, and Chiron kind of works silently in the background. I find Chiron activations are not loud in your face unless your natal Chiron right now is being activated by, say, Pluto, Neptune, Uranus, Saturn, or Jupiter. That would be a different storyline, okay? But in general, I'm looking at a blank slate here with Chiron moving through the 3rd house. So what is the 3rd house? So where, Pisces, are these triggers or activations going to come from? So they can actually come from you, Pisces. It's the mind. It's how we digest and chew on information. It's how we think about ourselves, talk to ourselves in the mirror. And also Chiron's going to be making opportunity aspects to your placements, whatever you're watching for right now. So every example I'm going to give you, keep in mind there's opportunities to heal here, but sextiles are not like squares. Squares, yeah, you got to do something. It's going to make you move. It's going to make you do something. Or take action, I should say, on something. But sextiles and trines, it's kind of like, I don't know, Pisces, if you're going to take advantage of this energy. So if you see an opportunity to heal, are you going to take those next steps to help yourself? This is about you, Pisces. So anyway, getting back to examples here. Third house is communication, how you communicate, how you digest, chew on information, how you articulate yourself. A common wound here, I'm thinking Chiron in the third house, is being afraid to speak up, being afraid to share your story or share your thoughts. You know, you're in a boardroom with a whole bunch of people, and it's like you're not the one that puts your hand up and says something because you don't want all eyes on you. That's one example of Chiron moving through this area of life. Third house is also transportation, or how it is that you get around. It is a travel house, more so local. Like third house is more so your local vicinity versus international. But if you do have anything in the ninth house or in Scorpio, there could be activations here from an international perspective too, like international travel or long distance travel. So regardless, we'll throw travel out there. Third house is also triggers coming from siblings, cousins, neighbors, relatives. So again, easy example, triggers coming back up from the past. How you were treated by a brother, a sister, a relative, a cousin, an aunt, an uncle. Triggers or wounds coming back around from that perspective. But again, keep in mind, Chiron's not here to just piss you off and anger you and make you feel guilty and shameful or experience hurt. Like, he is here to help you heal this area of life, heal your relationship with cousins, siblings, relatives, neighbors, whoever, and help you heal other people as well. So it's not all like Debbie Downer, negative Nancy energy. And again, this is a sextile Pisces. So it's flowing into your energy a little bit better than, say, a square type of energy. Third house is also about social media, the internet, websites, blogging, like socializing on virtually, for example. So again, another easy example is, you know, say you start a YouTube channel, or say you start a blog, or you put a website out there, and yep, those bloody gremlins, the keyboard heroes that just blah, 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 and they have nothing better to do. That is so famous too for Chiron moving through the third house. And again, it's happening for a reason, Pisces. It's helping you move past these triggers and not react to them, not feed into those conversations. That's another easy example, and a very common one with any sort of third house activations. But with Chiron in here, Pisces, it's going to be a long stay. It's going to be a journey. It's going to be, you know, it's part of your journey, my friends, because, you know, at some point, I guess depending on your age, I mean, Chiron would have transited your first house, second house already, and then now moving into your third house, you know, moving to the belly of your sky here. So Pisces, just a reminder, the lesson or the goal here is to strengthen this area of life, not to inflict pain or life attacking you. No, it's grounding you, especially with Taurus, the beautiful earth energy, which meshes well with you, Pisces, grounding you in this area of life, you becoming the warrior, the healer in this area of life, you strengthening this area of life and giving you the ability. This is also, you know what, I forgot to mention, educational institutions, learning, skill set, you becoming, or you developing that skill set to help other people too, and at the same time helping yourself. Yeah, I forgot to mention another example. If you have natal Chiron in the third house, for example, but again, Chiron moving through the third house is, or maybe I did mention this, like early childhood education triggers, like, you know, maybe you had a stutter, or maybe you struggled in school or elementary school or high school or middle school or whatever. Again, there could be triggers here, and depending on your age. So if you are a young person or younger, these triggers could come up. An example of this would be like, you don't feel smart, you don't feel intelligent, you don't feel worthy of being in the same room with certain people, or you're like, oh my God, this person's so intelligent. It's like idolizing other people when really you have it in yourself, Pisces. And not all of us are book smart. Not all of us are PhDs, MBAs, doctorates. And if that is you, that's incredible. But for those of you that don't feel worthy from an educational standpoint, like you never went to college or university, who cares? Because each and every one of us bring a gift, an ability to the table. And you don't need to be a scientist to do that. But again, if you are, hey, good on you, man. Good on you. But vice versa, right? You know, maybe you are well educated, and are there times where you feel like that imposter syndrome? I've heard that before too, with Chiron activating 9th or 3rd house. So anyway, Pisces, like I said, I'm not here to hurt or inflict pain or traumatize you, but I'm preparing you. These are the kind of questions and activations that Chiron's going to be asking you over the next 7 to 8 years. But again, you're becoming the warrior here. And you have the opportunity, man, to reach a higher, wider audience and help lots of people as well. Also, Chiron is making a trine to your love line too, Pisces. So you could be doing this with a partner. You could be doing this with a business or a love partner. But also, you could get triggered from a marital partner or a love partner or a business partner. I can see that too. Because trines, yeah, sometimes trines you can't feel them. But again, it doesn't mean it won't trigger something when it gets there. Because Chiron is so slow moving, Pisces, at some point, Pisces rising, not so much the sun, but Pisces rising, folks. At some point, Chiron is going to hang out on your rising sign degree, which is going to activate your love line. So also be prepared possibly for triggers, activations from your partnership sector. Love, business, one-to-one connections, family, friends, loved ones, anything to do with one-to-one. So that's another activation possibility, Pisces. But again, if you have any wounds around relationships, how you relate to other people, powerful transit coming in here to help heal that wound and move through those issues and get to the root of what is going on subconsciously. Yeah, Chiron is sometimes hard to put our finger on, but as we get older, Chiron is a lot easier to work with, but that doesn't mean it's impossible if you're watching this and you're a young person, okay? So, and actually, if you are a young person watching this, good on you. Good on you, because you're going to know. You're going to know now. You have the tools now. You're like, oh, my sister is triggering me. My cousin is triggering me. My partner is triggering me. My college colleague, whatever, is triggering me, you know, or activating something in me. Because if you want to react to something, that's Chiron. That's usually Chiron. It could be something else like your Mars or something like that. Or if you're say you have a lot of energy in the fire signs, it could be something like something else being activated. But in general, you have the power now. You know, that's why I'm doing this Chiron video, to empower all of us to take the bull by the horns. This is, you know, Taurus energy after all, and taking our power back so we learn how to respond, not react, and not feed into it. Reacting just it's just throwing wood on the fire, right? Or gas on the fire. Responding, sitting back, sometimes saying nothing, that is a response. Even if it is with a sibling or a relative or a neighbor. Sometimes holding silence, you'd be surprised how uncomfortable it makes people feel. Yeah, give it a try. You know, give it a try, because the 3rd house is very like lots of even text messages, Pisces. I just thought of that. Text messages, emails, you know, give it some time. Sit on it. Don't fire back. And if you do, that's okay. That's part of the lesson here. That's part of the lesson with Chiron transiting this 3rd house of how you communicate, how you interact with. This is day to day. 3rd house is busy. Busy, busy, busy house. Busy bee house. Okay, last but not least, Pisces, really quick. I'm saying this with all the signs. In general, Chiron moving through the sign of Taurus. It's going to make this part of the body sensitive. The possibility is there. Again, I'm not a doctor, but each sign represents, and each house for that matter, sort of represents an area of the body. So when Chiron's moving through here, it might make the lower jaw, the teeth, the neck, the throat, the tonsils, and the thyroid and the vocal cords sensitive, a little bit more sensitive. And that's for all of us, like collectively. On the other side of the coin, though, we could have breakthroughs to help, humanity with this area of the body. That could be a possibility as well. So if you've had any, say, teeth issues or jaw issues or throat issues, now is the time to kind of investigate that further, start doing your research, and I almost guarantee you'll find the right practitioner. But again, it's a slow transit, slow burn. Also with Chiron moving through a fixed sign. So the fixed signs are Taurus, Leo, Aquarius, and Scorpio. The fixed signs hold on to toxins in the body, very sluggish, very slow. Like the fixed, if you actually have a lot of energy in the fixed signs, Pisces, you might find this. Like the body is slow, sluggish, buildup of toxins, clogging up the liver, things like that. Or as an example, I should say, yeah, we want to get it moving out of the body. So again, as a collective, we'll be dealing with this, but you also might be dealing with something along these lines, Pisces, or you might notice it, right? And slowing down the body is okay, but too much is not, what's that old saying? Too much is not a good thing, right? And it's about balancing that in the body. Also, the fixed signs resist change. Okay, so it's like feeling that resistance in the body, like you don't want to change, or you don't want to change a habit, routine, something along those lines, or how you're taking care of the body, Pisces. Which also, by the way, if you have any health conditions, Chiron making a sextile to your sun, your moon, your rising will again help you heal the body. Okay, it could go either way. Either way, you could notice a trigger, like an activation, but then you can also heal as well from that. Or again, attract in the right practitioner to help you out with that. Also, chronic pain or chronic conditions might come up over the next several years. And again, this is just the fixed energy that is brought to the table, and this is collective. So as I mentioned before, if you have issues like dull headaches, dull migraines, teeth issues, issues with circulation, any sort of pain, like dull chronic pain that's always been there, not a bad transit, Pisces, to kind of look into that a little bit more, like dive a little bit deeper into that, because Chiron is going to help you with this. And yeah, very indulgent transit too. So watch what you ingest, because Taurus likes, it's about the sensory experience. So eating too much, drinking too much, smoking too much, that's for all of us. That's going to come up at some point where it's like overindulging, and then you're like, oh God, why did I eat that entire ice cream cake, or something like that, Pisces. So again, not everyone's going to experience this. Everyone is going to experience this differently. But anyway, Pisces, I hope this helped. As I mentioned, I didn't mean to doom, gloom, or scare you. This is just something to think about from an educational perspective, or a new lens or a new angle. That's what I like about Chiron. It kind of makes us look at life a little bit differently, let alone all the other bodies in the sky that are activating your chart at this time, Pisces. So anyway, enjoy this transit, my friends, and we'll see you back here in the next video. Bye for now.